Hey everyone, welcome to GameFace, episode 332 on Sifted Games at Sifted.net. I'm Shane Satterfield, and this is Matt Kyle, and that's Luna. Yep, she's in there. Look, her little face is right in the shot there. And you may have wondered why we went to a two-shot to start off today's show. That's because we have a very special episode for you guys today where we are going to unbox and show off PlayStation VR2. So my camera, it's normally my one shot, is now being dedicated to show off PlayStation VR2 for this very special episode of GameFace. Hope you guys are doing great. Thanks a lot to everybody who's made it here today on Thursday. Not our typical day. I was back home on the East Coast for a memorial for my friend who passed away. And I didn't get back in time to be able to get the show together for Tuesday. So here we are on Thursday. And then the good news is we're going to be back on Tuesday for another episode, believe it or not. I really thought March might be tough to do episodes, but I don't know. We're going to be able to do 2 episodes in the span of 5 days pretty well, I think. We have enough games to talk about in both episodes. Hope you guys had a great weekend. And again, thanks for showing up this special day and time. I know a lot of you guys have kind of set aside Tuesdays as the day to watch GameFace Live. So we really appreciate you guys coming around on Thursday. Matt, how has your week been?
All right.
Living in virtual land.
A little bit, yeah.
And trying to survive a flood here.
Yeah, it was a lot of weather and a lot of VR. And
crazy. It's I know you guys are just like, you're sick about hearing about LA or California weather. It is crazy. It's basically snowed here.
Never seen anything like that before.
This cold snap we've had, the coldest it's been in 35 years. It snowed in Los Angeles. Mm-hmm. It's insane. What is going on?
In visual range from here. That, usually it's up on the mountains. Where I was on the Hollywood sign. And
driving over here today to Matt's house. I live on the coast, basically. Matt lives, 8 miles inland, roughly? Something like that. So I'm driving towards Matt. I look up, and the mountains around LA are white. Like it's Denver. I was like, am I in the right place?
Usually there's when it's really stormy, there's some snow on the San Gabriel Mountains out east. Yeah. But I've never seen snow in the mountains behind the Hollywood Hills before. Yeah. That's so brand weird. New. It is the longest stretch of sub 60-degree weather in LA in 34 years or something. I
went home to central Pennsylvania where it's normally butt cold this time of year. It was warmer there than it is here. Mm-hmm. It's so weird, man.
Snowed in Disneyland. That's new. Snowed in Burbank, places it doesn't snow. It was very surprising.
It's insane what's going on.
Here we didn't get snowed because I'm in the actual flat of the city, but got down to 40.
I got the day before I left, I got sleet and hail enough to coat my deck with white like it had snowed. It's just and then I go home and my mom is like, "We've got one dusting snow all winter in central Pennsylvania."
Yeah, Pennsylvania's got as much snow as the Hollywood sign.
Exactly. It's really crazy what's going on.
And of course, LA is not built for any of this. Whole intersections are just becoming lakes.
Yeah.
And you'd always see it was always this intersection's a lake, and you're just an abandoned Porsche in the middle. Some idiot thought he could drive through it.
Nope, didn't make it.
Porsches and Teslas. It's Teslas who think it's not an aspirated engine, so no, it's still batteries, dude. You don't want water in the electrical system, I promise.
Yeah. I see in chat, Steel City Noob is asking, you guys play Wo Long yet? I started playing Wo Long. Ooh.
I didn't play it for long.
Ooh.
Wasn't there a demo of that before?
There's another one right now.
Another one, yeah, and that carries into the...
Yeah, and it's the first 3 hours of the game or whatever.
I didn't like that.
I haven't got code yet, so I was like, all right, I'll get a jump start by playing this demo. Mm-hmm. Everything was going well till I got to this tiger, and I couldn't kill the tiger. I fought him 20 times, and I just gave up. I don't know.
Yeah, after that last demo, I'm not inclined to...
I was really not particularly
it is Game Pass, I think, so it's not I don't know.
Will we talk about it on Tuesday? Probably. Are we talking about it today? No, other than what we just said.
I'll poke at it, I guess.
Yeah. Lots of housekeeping to get to today, but we're going to try to keep it shorter than usual because this show is big. We have a lot to get to in today's episode, so we're going to try to buzz through these really quickly and spend a little less time than we normally do on our housekeeping. First thing, Matt, finally, surprising no one, Elden Ring Shadow of the Erd Tree DLC was announced this week. What do you think that they're going to do with that, Matt?
I don't know. Probably, if history teaches us anything, add an extra little quest like area extra thing that's really, really hard.
Yeah.
Which is what they generally do.
Something for expert players.
Something basically. For higher level stuff.
Yeah.
Like, there'll be like
something that I will not be able to partake in.
Yeah. And they're also adding ray tracing and a bunch of upgrades soon.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
They'll make it look better.
Yep. Supposed to come sometime this year. No hard date yet, though. I don't think.
Well, they did say Armored Core 6 will be before it.
Oh, really?
Are you
kidding me?
They didn't say it, but actually that's the rumor. Somebody said that internally, like Armored Core 6 is planned for September, October.
So my fantasy gamble may pay off.
I think it looks like
for once.
Looks like you might actually get your Armored Core 6.
Although who knows if it'll actually get decent review scores. But anyway, so we do have Elden Ring DLC coming. Obviously, that's a big deal for.
That's what I heard. Is Armored Core 6 will come out before this?
Okay, for last year's Game of the Year for a lot of folks, that's a big deal. Also, The Wolf Among Us 2 has been delayed out of 2023. Does that surprise you at all, Matt?
I really didn't have expectations one way or the other, frankly. Yeah. Like you put that on there, and I'm like, oh, right, that's a thing.
Seems like a simple game for it to be taking so long, but
yeah, I don't know. I wonder what the issue is there. Like you feel like probably the story and everything's already done.
Yeah.
You're just putting it together, and it feels like you've put that together enough times that
it shouldn't be too difficult. A little strange, I thought. But yeah, so that's one game you're not going to have to worry about choosing between at the end of the year, because there's going to be a lot of tough decisions to be made as we get into the year here, and more of these really big games start coming out. Another small thing, there have been, and this is pertinent to today's episode, there have been 20 million Quest headsets sold now, Matt. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it's a lot.
That's more than I thought. What does that say to you?
It says that Quest is the only thing that has made any inroads.
That wireless
at all.
VR is probably the way to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, at least for the mainstream.
You need something that you can get into as fast as it takes you to think, oh, maybe I'll play a VR thing.
Yeah.
And go.
Yeah, I'd agree. Also, Hogwarts Legacy sold 12 million units in 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. Not only that, HBO has now signed the video game for a show. That's like the tail wagging the dog a little bit, isn't it?
Sort of, but also like the concept is a school year at Hogwarts, the show. Yeah, like, that makes a lot of sense, frankly.
I mean, Harry Potter TV show is just a big deal, I guess, all on its own, really.
Yeah, well, they've never done that, but like it's a very obvious show premise when you think about it.
Yeah.
It's kind of ridiculous it took a video game to make WB say, like, oh, yeah, we could do that.
That's what I'm saying. It's the tail wagging the dog. Yeah. It's really weird.
You wonder why there hasn't been more just general media exploring the Hogwarts experience, quote unquote. Like, obviously, like, the Harry story is kind of the meat of what the franchise was, but like the fantasy of going to Hogwarts was sort of like the core hook for a lot of kids. Yeah. And it's just weird that was never more of a push.
Are you surprised that it sold 12 million copies already?
That is a little more than I expected.
Me too. Yeah. Hector said he thought 10 million maybe by the end of the year. Yeah. So he was way off.
I mean, I think it's driven. It's dual drivers. I think partly it's driven by the fact that a bunch of people bought this game to be an asshole.
Yeah.
Which partly is, I think, borne out by the Steam numbers, which have the people playing dropped like a rock.
Yeah.
Like.
They played it for like a couple hours.
I mean, some people just like finished it.
Oh, right.
But obviously, because it's a finishable game in that time. But a lot of it, the drop off was significant. The other thing is, it's the first big budget Harry Potter game in a long time, and is the first really good by consensus Harry Potter game ever.
Yeah.
Like on this level of production. I mean, obviously, like I know I really like the old Game Boy Advance like early games. Yeah. But like in terms of presenting the world as the state of the art video game development, like production quality, like have they ever done this before?
EA never did that for sure. It always had some B team working on this game, which was really stupid in hindsight.
And like the closest you got was probably like the Deathly Hallows stuff, which was just like their Gears of War with a wand.
Right.
But even that was
still not up to scratch like this is.
No.
So I was surprised that it sold that much.
So I think it's a combination of, ironically, the controversy, because I think the controversy helped its sales tremendously.
I think you're right.
I mean, if you really don't want people to buy this game, you should probably just not talk about it.
Right. Yeah.
Because there's nothing. It's almost like there's nothing faster to get people to buy something than to tell them not
they shouldn't buy it.
Yeah, you shouldn't do this. Oh, I'm totally going to do that now.
I mean, it's not just stuff like this. It's everything. Like, tell somebody not to do something, they're going to do it.
And then, of course, the fact that it holds up.
Yeah, it's a great game. Yeah.
I mean, the reviews anyway. I mean, Yahtzee kind of tore it apart.
Oh, he didn't like it?
No, he didn't.
The reviews have been weird.
But Yahtzee also doesn't like anything.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, he just doesn't like open world stuff in general, and like a lot. If it's funny because if you watch the zero punctuation on it, he does start by ripping J.K. Rowling apart, and it's just like, okay, are we good?
Now
we're done.
Now
I'm just going to talk about the game. And
well, we kind of did that. We talked about the controversy one week, and then we talked about the game.
But everything you praised about it, he says is the opposite. He didn't like it. He's just like, it's just another dumb open world with nothing to do, and everything's stupid, and the combat's kind of cool, but like it doesn't do anything with it. And the other thing that I think is very funny, because I know several other people who have played it and like are kind of like, they're back and forth on this or that. But the one thing everyone has, you're the only person I know who likes the brooms.
Really?
Everybody I've talked to hates the flying.
Really?
Like one friend was like, the only,
maybe they grabbed the wrong broom.
I don't know. They hated flying until they got beasts. They like riding the beasts.
See, I got the beast and just stuck with the broom. Mm-hmm. I used the beast just to check it out.
That's interesting.
I enjoyed the broom more. It could depend on which broom you got, because you can choose from the brooms, and then which upgrades you got for that broom. That all changes everything. So anyway, Hogwarts Legacy doing great, and an HBO show is coming.
Yeah, I think you're probably going to get a sequel on that one.
Oh, yeah.
And like, you know what? Maybe they will put Quidditch in that one.
I think they will. I wouldn't be surprised if this isn't like an Elden Ring thing where you didn't think there was going to be DLC at first, but now they're like, oh, wait a minute, maybe we can.
Oh, I bet they'll put they'll whip up some things, but I bet you'll get them
Quidditch
even more.
is a big problem.
I don't think Quidditch will be in DLC.
Yeah.
I think Quidditch will be, but I do think like, I mean, the problem is you got to make another game inside a game for that, basically. But I think you've got the monetary justification for that.
Yeah,
now.
absolutely.
So, it's the only thing missing.
Yeah. It was announced this week that Shinji Mikami is leaving his studio Tango Softworks under Bethesda. I am friends with him on Facebook, and it doesn't seem like he's been doing a lot of game developing lately. He's prolific on Facebook. He posts like all day, every day. He's been doing a lot of vacationing, like just relaxing, chilling with friends, stuff like that. So
the man's kind of been going nonstop for like 30 years.
A long time, yeah. And there's no word on what he's going to do. For those of you who don't know, Shinji Mikami created Resident Evil. He's also the guy who made Resident Evil 4 initially.
Devil May Cry.
I mean, he's a savant in a lot of ways.
He's one of the people who built modern Capcom.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see what Tango does without him. Now, Tango just released Hi-Fi Rush, which is amazing, and it sounds like Mikami didn't have a lot to do with that. So it does look like Tango is maybe
Tango's clearly got their deal going on.
So maybe they'll be okay without it.
I'm curious to see where he ends up.
Yep. No word, though, where he's going. He hasn't announced anything.
Or if he just retires.
He's just retiring. It could be. He's still young. He looks young anyway. Also, Nintendo finally confirmed this week it is not going to go to E3, and its reasoning was like, whatever, dude. Like they're like, it's not aligning with our schedule. It's like, whatever.
It was almost worse than like if they just didn't show up. It was like, oh yeah, we know. I don't think we can get to that this year.
Yeah.
I mean, have fun. It's cool. It was just so blasé. It was so like, oh, that thing. We're sorry, we're not going to make it. It was just so they are over it.
Yeah.
Like the big three are so over the E3 thing.
I mean, this E3. Oh boy!
This E3, we are looking to Konami to save the day. That's how dire this is.
Great segue, Matt, into our next item in housekeeping, which is, according to reports from VGC, Metal Gear Solid 3 Remake and a new Castlevania are going to be at E3. From Konami, no less. Not from some other publisher or developer. From Konami. Now, obviously, Konami is going to partner with someone. I highly doubt these games are going to be developed internally. My guess is they find a partner to work on these games.
Yeah, they're definitely contracting these out.
But sure. Konami finally doing something with Castlevania? Huh?
Crazy.
It is crazy. Metal Gear Solid 3 Remake. It could stand to be remade.
Oh, yeah.
There's a whole lot of clunk in Metal Gear Solid 3.
All those games could stand to be remade.
Yeah. I'm surprised they didn't start with the first one.
Yeah.
That seemed like the most obvious, lowest hanging fruit to me, but...
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, I know that there's collections and stuff you can get on more or less modern platforms outside of, 4, which is trapped on the PS3 forever. But, like, how weird is that the PS3 got a system update this week?
That is bizarre. There must have been some kind of exploit where, like, for piracy or something.
Clearly something. But, like, it's just weird. Like, you even try to play them now and they don't work properly. Like, it's very hard to play Metal Gear Solid 2 on anything that's not a PlayStation.
Yeah.
from a certain era because that uses the pressure sensitive button thing for the shooting.
Right, I forgot about that.
Because you hold the button down to aim the gun, you let it go to shoot.
That's right. I forgot about that.
It's very awkward if you're not using one, and that functionality hasn't been in PlayStation controllers for 2 generations.
Yeah.
So there's a revamp that kind of needs to happen there.
Yeah. And then finally,
hell, you could remake 5 and finish the actual fucking story. That would be good.
Yep. And then finally, we got a little bit of good news in that Mortal Kombat 12 is coming out this year.
Yeah, good news out of an investor call. Way to build the hype, Warner.
What? Warner Brothers, what is it doing, man?
Very strange.
It seems like they're like, oh, we got a hit. Now we're just going to go rogue.
Yeah, I don't know.
But yeah, according to Warner Brothers itself, in its financial call, MK12 coming sometime this year. Mm-hmm. Not even officially announced yet. Well, I guess it is now. I mean, that's official, I would say. It's about as official as it gets.
If it's not official, that's illegal. So, you can't lie to investors like that.
So, Matt, this could end up being an incredible year for fighting games.
Yeah, between Street Fighter and Tekken and this, that's everybody.
I mean, we may be able to give out, a fighting game award for our Game of the Year awards this year.
Yeah, there might be enough to fill that out. Hey, Sega, where's Virtua Fighter 6?
Yeah, exactly. That's all we need next.
As long as we're redoing the 90s. Thanks, Last of Us.
Absolutely.
Bringing in Mortal Kombat 2, and all of a sudden the fighting games are back again.
Yeah. So lots of middle stuff.
Although apparently the guy who created Blaze Blue left Arc System Works this week.
Really?
Yeah. After 20-some years. So yeah. I mean, you wonder how how much these ancient veterans kind of, he's probably 45, but you wonder how much they still are day to day involved in that stuff. But you never know. Sometimes it matters who's up at the top saying yes or no to the decisions.
I would argue most of the time it does. So lots of mid news, as the kids say nowadays. Mid. I don't know why that phrase became a thing all of a sudden, but there's lots of stories like that this week, and we have a great show for you guys today. As you can tell, we got PlayStation VR2 here. Matt's been playing it for 7 or 8 days at this point?
Yeah. I mean, I played it mostly this week. Yeah. I'll be honest, it took me a while to actually open the box.
Really? It sat there for a while?
Yeah, it sat there. I was doing other things. I was playing Octopath Traveler. It was raining. To play it, I have to move all my furniture around and put my contacts in, and it was whatever. So I got to it around, I think Monday. I finally got to it.
Okay.
So also playing it later meant that it was fresher in my mind when we talked about it on the show. That's bullshit, but I'm just going to go with it.
We'll just go with it. So we are going to talk about Octopath Traveler 2 as well. We talked about it a little bit in a prior episode, but Matt and I have both been playing the final retail version of that. I've been playing a lot of it. We're going to talk about Final Fantasy 16. We're going to talk about Sony's State of Play. We're going to talk about Kirby's Return to Dreamland. We have a big show for you guys. Before we get started, let's check in with you. See what you guys are saying in our chat right now. Here, the U.S. judge apparently asking Sony for their exclusivity contract. So I guess people are talking about the Activision Blizzard thing again. I didn't know that there was movement on that, actually.
That would be new, in the last hour, I think.
Yeah. Emperor Dread, Jeff keeps racking up a body count on E3's hopes and dreams. It does make me wonder, though, if they're just not going to be there at all for even Jeff's stuff, or if this is Nintendo's way of saying we're working with Jeff.
I mean, I bet they'll have some kind of direct around that time.
Yeah,
but clearly they're not going to be on the floor. If they show up to Jeff's thing, that's a message.
That would be a big deal. Yep. Sneaky says, I don't think people really spent 70 to 80 quid to be an a-hole, meaning buying Hogwarts Legacy.
Disagree.
Yeah. I definitely think some people bought it to spite the controversy.
For sure.
I don't know how many, but definitely some. What else you guys got in here?
People donate millions to be assholes. I guarantee you buying a
video
game buying a video game is a very minor expense in that regard.
Steel City Noob from Pittsburgh, by the way, Shane. What's up? Fellow Steeler and Penguin fan, I'm assuming. We'll not talk about the Pirates because there's no point in doing that. Did either of you get PlayStation VR 2 yet? Yep, absolutely. Obviously, you can see it sitting right next to Matt, and we're going to talk about it in a minute. Still snowing here in New Mexico right now from Cantano. The weather is just nuts. It really is just bizarre. Slagathor, thank you for Twitch Prime. Get Up Kid 1284, thank you for Twitch Prime. Eric Cartman is more My Bloody Valentine. I was playing some of them before the show today. Sound Wizard, thank you for gifting all these tier 1 subs to our audience. That's awesome. And thank you for subscribing with Twitch Prime as well. Swanlin, Stolty69, Johnny Hurricane, Ptor91, and Wampler13, thank you all for subscribing with Twitch Prime. Wampler13, 60 months you've done it, man. Thank you so much. Okay. We're just about ready to get on with GameFace 332, but first, here's a word from our sponsor. LS Cream is a fine cream liqueur created by fellow gamer and sifter Stevens Charles. It's inspired by an ancestral recipe from Haiti called Crémasse, and a double gold winner for its original taste at the New York Wine and Spirit International Competition. LS Cream can be enjoyed on the rocks or as a mixer for drinks with its rich blend of fresh cream and neutral grain spirits with notes of coconut, vanilla, cinnamon, and nutmeg. It's great in coffee or to make espresso martinis. To learn more, discover amazing drink recipes, or to track down your own bottle using a handy store locator, head to creamls.com. That's creamls.com. Matt, those drinks look delicious.
They do.
It's like...
You gotta get some gold silverware for the next time I drink that.
Whoever made those drinks is like an artist. Mm-hmm. Those are amazing, those drinks, man. I feel like I could taste them right through the screen.
That looks like stuff you'd get at like Epcot Center or something.
Seriously. Support LS Cream. They're awesome. They're hooking us up. The owner is a gamer. The owner is a sifter. Go buy a bottle right now. And with that, it's time for us to get on with episode 332. We're going to kick things off with PlayStation VR2. Matt has had it for a week now. I have not played it at all. So this is all going to be about Matt and his experience over the last week. I guess the first thing I would ask, well, let's break it up. Let's talk about the hardware, then we'll talk about the games. What has surprised you the most about the hardware so far, Matt?
I think the most surprising thing about the hardware is how good it is. It is... And granted, like I've only messed a little bit with modern Quest stuff. I've not played, the Index or any of the, my long experience with VR stuff is PSVR 1 and the original Vive, and occasional dabbling at demos or whatever of other stuff. This thing is head and shoulders above the previous one in a way that is so impressive. It's almost insulting that they sold us the first one.
I feel a little insulted over the first one still.
Yeah, like it just this should have, if this had been, I mean, obviously they would have had to wait until now to have this be affordable and functional at the time, but they probably should have waited until this was what they could launch, because this thing is really good.
I mean, it's one of my biggest regrets.
I will say it is like it is worth $500 tech wise. Like you play this and you're like, yeah, this is a $500 headset.
You don't feel like you're being ripped off.
No, this is not like the PSVR 1 kind of had that. Like, well, it's a console and it's like it was cheaper, so you can't expect the rooms
lowered expectations. Basically,
no, this is on par with anything I've tried VR wise. It is shockingly clear. Even when you're just looking at the menus and stuff, you do have to angle it the right way and get everything set up for it. But once you do that, it's fine. The eye tracking is phenomenal. Like there is absolutely no more like it's in focus here, and if you look with your eye, because we look with our eyes, so you had to learn in the old headsets like to look with your whole
move
head.
Your head, yeah,
gone. Not at all.
You just can use
everything's
your eyes now.
Yeah. There was never anything that was out of focus beyond like sort of just
So the foveated rendering is that quick.
It is.
You can't like jut your eyes.
I've never caught it.
Wow.
And in fact, when you first calibrate it, after you do, they have you do like you used to do in the old computers, like hold the joystick up in the corner and then down in the corner, center it. They have you do that with your eyes like a few times against different backgrounds. And then they say, okay, try it out. Like everywhere you look at these lights, they'll light up and make a noise, and it's you can go like that. And it's it's like that.
Wow.
It's fast. It's very fast.
That's awesome.
So that really works. The control, it's still very comfortable. That
was one of the best things about the first PlayStation VR.
Yeah, it's still very comfortable, just like the first one. You do have to wear the band a little further down the back of your head, which I can see some people having a problem with. And it's got the tightening thing. You do need it to be pretty tight so it doesn't slide back up, because the place the headset needs to sit for it to be perfect for the sweet spot is a little lower on your face than you might think. And to do that, you need the headband to be pretty low to hold it there. But it does stay pretty well. And
what about weight?
Very light.
Is it same weight as the last one, basically?
Same or lighter.
Yeah.
I wouldn't.
Okay.
I don't notice a difference.
Okay, because that's also a big deal with HMD.
The other nice thing about it is there is a button on the underside on the right, and if you press it, it switches the view to the room you're in. Like it switches to the external cameras. And you just look around. It's all black and white, but you can look around and see everything. That's how because when you first put it on, you don't have the controllers, and I'm like, well, how are you going to have me pick up the control? And they're like, oh, press this button, and I can now go pick up the control. I'm like, oh, that's great. So like if the phone, I get a phone, like a text message or something,
you can check it.
I can just put that on, look at the phone, deal with it. Great.
That's nice. Yeah.
That's a nice everything. All those headsets. Maybe that's standard equipment now. I don't know. Like maybe Quest does.
It's been a while.
Because as long as you have the self. The self-tracking cameras on the thing, you might as well do that.
Yeah.
So that's cool. The controllers are very comfortable.
They're really light.
They're very light. You barely know you're holding them.
Yeah.
They do track.
I was surprised by that.
On at least several of the games, they do track where your fingers are. Like on Horizon, you can thumbs up, you can point. You can do finger guns, and you can like your other fingers, like your other three fingers move as kind of a unit.
Okay,
and it
almost like a mitten.
Yeah, and you don't need to press the button; it knows when you're touching.
Oh, okay.
So like all you need to do is rest your fingers on the buttons, and your hand will close in the game.
Gotcha.
I missed some good stuff early on in the opening of the game because I was too busy looking at how my hands worked.
Yeah,
and I wasn't looking.
Seems
at
like a lot of
monsters
people were doing that. Yeah.
So yeah, and the only downside to the controllers is that they run out of batteries in like 3 hours.
Kind of like the DualSense. My biggest complaint with the DualSense is the battery life.
Yeah, the DualSense also. So these things definitely run low in about 3 hours. Tuesday in particular, Tuesday I played for like 7 or 8 hours, and I would have played mostly straight through, except I had to take breaks to recharge the controllers.
Oh, geez.
Now they do recharge in like 20 minutes. They're pretty fast. Like they're like
USB-C.
Yeah, USB-C, and again, they don't hold much of a charge, so it doesn't take that long.
Now, did you say that they only gave you one USB?
Yeah, there's only one USB cable in the box.
That's ridiculous.
And you need two to charge both. So I'm using like and I was also charging my PlayStation, my DualSense.
Right.
So I stole a USB cable from my Switch.
Yeah.
Switch dock, and have been using that. The other thing, it doesn't come with any like a cleaning cloth.
Oh, really?
The first PSVR came with a really nice, large, like microfiber cloth to clean the lenses. This comes with nothing.
Weird.
It's like, it is weird. It's just
They're
like,
cutting corners in weird places.
You just get. I guess
if you want to open it up there, yeah.
Luna's out of here. We're gonna do that.
She's like later.
So that's just. This is just an extra. This is just the box that holds. Whoop. That's the single USB cable and the instructions and extra headphone thing. This is the headphones, so they where are you? There you are. They plug into the bottom of the headset with these.
Yeah,
things.
That thing's weird. The headset.
They kind of hang off the back, and you can just kind of stick them in, and they're super short, so they just reach your ears, and you don't need to like worry about another cord dangling around.
That was always awkward too with the first PlayStation VR. Was like putting the headphones on kind of underneath the HMD. This is something that I like, Matt. How this box is designed to easily throw the stuff back in it to transport
just
it
sit
somewhere.
It in there. Like the first one, I never managed to get it back in the box.
Me either. I could never figure out how to get it back in there.
Very clear, like trays.
Yep.
Here's the main controller.
You can tell how light it is just watching you handle it.
Yeah, it's got barely any heft to it. But the feedback's good. Like when you pull the bow back, you feel it.
Really?
Sure. And the other thing that I wasn't super ready for is that I'm sure they'd said this and I just forgot that there's vibration in the headset.
No, that's right.
And like, so when shit flies over you in like Horizon, it like vibrates on your head, and I'm like, that's a weird sensation.
Wow,
like,
that is weird.
So that's the other one.
Yeah,
very similar. The buttons are pretty flush, but you can feel like you always know where your hands are. It's
Matt, how does it replicate resistance? So say I read somewhere where someone was like, "Oh, I was playing Horizon Call of the Mountain, and I put my hand in the water, and I could feel my hand dragging in the water. How does it replicate kind of that feeling?
It's just like the same thing as the vibration on the DualSense.
So it's not like a resistance that you feel.
No,
it's just a rumble.
It's a rumble that like does feel like it kind of has a direction to it, but I feel like it's got to be like whatever spinning is spinning to make the resistance a certain direction.
Okay, gotcha.
It's not super convincing.
Yeah.
When you do stuff like that.
Okay.
But you can't. It's there. They thought of it.
Yep.
And then the headset.
Yep. Pull it out.
Put this down. This is all the wire. There's some cat hair on it. So it looks very similar.
It looks similar, but it's more sleek.
Yeah.
Not as bulky. It looks like it would actually maybe weigh less than the original.
Maybe.
One.
And then here's the button. So this is the C. There. This is the I want to see what's around me button. This is the power button, and this is something else. I don't know what that is. I think it's a speaker. That's so it beeps when you know it's ready or whatever.
Oh, okay.
And then back here, you can see back here is these are where the holes are for the
headset that we showed you a minute ago.
And it does take any headset. Like you can plug any headphones in you want.
So you can make a normal headset work then.
It's just designed for that. And then this is the
dial to tighten it up.
Dial to tighten it up. It goes way back.
Oh, wow. That's one big ass head.
And then you can and then there's a button here
for release.
Pops it open, and then there's the usual that, which is good if you have glasses. It does fit glasses in, but again, it makes the lenses far enough away from you that it's a little subpar experience. So I definitely would recommend contacts if you need that.
Then there's the dial on top, right? Which kind of
that controls the space between your eyes, which is key. The first time you put that on, it's like they're like, it doesn't tell you to do that for a step or two, and I'm like, why can't I see anything? And then like you dial that out and it puts everything in focus and it's fine.
Any complaints of the hardware so far?
No, that's great. Not universal to all headsets. It's too hot sometimes.
Yeah.
And it can be uncomfortable, and like
the first one was like that too.
If it fogs up, you're like, wait, is that fogged up, or do I need to clean the lens, or am I looking at the reflection of my own retina? Like I don't, sometimes you're not sure. Mm-hmm. But also it's sort of that same VR thing where it's like, don't get too hung up on what it looks like in a blank screen.
Yeah.
Because once everything's happening, you're not going to think about it.
Yep.
I will say, it's not perfectly clear. There is still a little screen dooring if you look for it.
That was the big question I had. Yeah.
If you look for it, you can see it, but it's pretty convincing otherwise. Like there's moments in like Horizon where you're standing around talking to people, and they're like the character you're looking right at is in pretty good focus. Everyone else is a little fuzzy. And
is that the foveated rendering though?
Maybe. I don't think it's a foveated rendering. I think it's just not quite 4K.
There.
It's not crystal clear.
Yeah.
You're used to seeing crystal clear 4K images from a lot of these systems, and this is more, but it's way, way, way better than the first PSVR. It's not even close. It's like looking at a PS5 game in a way that just the PSVR did not replicate looking at a PS4 game. Now,
value-wise, do you feel like the $550 that you spent is in the box?
I do think it's a pretty good headset for $500. The problem is not the hardware. The problem is, do I trust Sony to support it past a year?
Right.
And I do not.
Yeah.
But what I can just if you pretend that this is going to be robustly supported for 5 to 10 years, this is a really nice piece of hardware, and it's a huge improvement from the first. It's just the USB cable. There's
the one thing I noticed,
no
Matt,
breakout box. There's no extra cable. There's no nothing.
The one thing
you plug it in and you go.
Is how short the unboxing was.
Yeah,
because all you had to unbox was the headset, the 2 controllers, and like 1 cable.
Mm-hmm.
Last time, like we said, you couldn't even figure out how to get all the crap back into the box after you took it out of there, because there was the breakout box and there was like 3 different cables, and the cables were real thick and bulky. Like now you just have a USB-C cable basically going from the headset to the console, right?
That's all it is. And then I'll also say it is longer. It reaches my couch. So the PlayStation VR 1 the cable was not long enough for me to sit comfortably on my couch and use it.
Mm-hmm.
It was like 6 inches too short.
Yep.
This one actually does reach. I can sit on my couch and lean back and play Gran Turismo, and it's fine.
Yeah.
So they did fix that too. It's a really impressive piece of hardware.
I'm surprised you really have no complaints. That's
not really. I mean, my only complaint is that the controllers run out of juice too fast.
Yeah.
Now, to be fair, are a lot of people going to play 3 hours straight of VR? Probably not.
Most won't.
I mean, I will say I did not get any twinge of motion sickness at all. The closest I came was Gran Turismo, which is weird because that's one of the few games I played sitting down. You're sitting down playing a car game. But here's the thing: what I get little bits of vertigo when a hard maneuver or something, when something happens that I've been driving for 30 years.
Yeah.
And when it's when something happens where I would expect to feel my body move in a direction, and it doesn't happen.
The G-forces aren't there.
My brain flips over and is like, "What's going on?" Like that is the only time. So I played 3 races the first time, and after 3 races, I was like, "Oh, I'm going to take a break and see if I'm doing all right." And then it was fine. And then this morning, I had breakfast and I played 5 races immediately after that, and fine.
It was all good.
Yeah, I'm just used to that weird sensation now. But other than that, I think it's really good. I'm a little shocked. I really don't have much. I think the headphones that come with it are kind of crappy.
Yeah.
But how many people are going to? Most people
have their own earbuds or whatever that they're probably going to use anyway.
Not really an issue.
Are the headsets good though? Are they the Sony 3D audio?
They do. I think they do have some 3D audio to them. I didn't notice a ton of it, but I don't really have any complaints. Mm-hmm. I never did figure out how to turn the volume up.
On the headphones?
On the headphones, if you can. I don't know.
Is there not some kind of a dashboard that you can pull up?
There is, but it's a little wonky and it's not super helpful in places. And it does a thing where, especially when you're playing sitting down, because there's 2 ways you can play sitting down. You can play room space, and the way room space works is you have to clear out. They want you to clear out. I think it's like an 8x6 space or 7x6 or something. And the way it works is you stand there and it says, "Okay, we're going to scan the room. Look at everything in the room." So they
don't tell you what specifically to look at.
They say to look at everything.
Oh,
the ceiling, the whole thing. So and as you look at everything, it paints it a different color. So you look around and basically, once you've looked at everything in the room, it says, "Okay, we got it," and it shows you your playable space, and then you can go around and move stuff around if you want.
Does it warn you if you're getting outside the boundaries?
It does. It puts the grid up.
Oh, okay.
But but you can paint the area larger if you because when I did it, it wasn't quite big enough for what it wanted. So I moved to his credit with the headset on. I moved my couch back another 3 feet.
Wow.
With the controllers hanging from my wrists on their loops, move that back, and then you use the controllers to paint the play space out further.
Because I'm guessing it errs on the side of caution.
It does.
Yeah. Which is smart. Let's be
so
fair.
we did that, and I didn't have any problems wandering outside the zone, really. It's just sort of stand in one place. It scanned everything very well, and I was playing in that living room with the overhead lights on, and the TV was on, and there was some sun from the, not direct sunlight. They warned you about direct sunlight can mess up the tracking.
Yeah.
And then if you want to play sitting down, and it remembers that space. It knows the room. And as a matter of fact, it knows the room to the point that, it'll check if they've played in that room before. So if you borrow this and come back and I plug it back in, it'll be like, "Oh, we know this room.
Oh, now we're in Matt's living room.
We don't need to recalibrate."
Wow, that's pretty cool.
But there's another thing where you can say, "I'm going to play it sitting down," and then you play it while you're sitting where you're going to sit, and it creates sort of a circle around you that says, "Is this where you're going to play?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that's where I'm going to play." Okay, this is where you're sitting now. Watch out for other things, but this is where you'll be for this. And then every once in a while, while playing Gran Turismo or Rez, it would be like, "Oh, can't track this, something's wrong." And a couple times I had to tell it again that I was playing sitting down. But other than that, it's been pretty smooth, and the tracking was very, very precise.
It sounds really slick.
It is. I mean, again, if I was confident at all about the software support going forward past the launch window and past a year from now, I would be saying you get a $500 headset for this, and experience that is legit. But obviously that is there's another side of that coin there.
Yeah.
But I am very happy with the hardware. I have to admit, in a way I didn't expect, because I'm sensitive to stuff that's too blurry or stuff that doesn't move properly or things that
I'm excited to try it to see
take
if
you
I
out
can
of it. The only stuff that took me out of any of the stuff in the games is stuff that's just inherent to VR, like when you're doing all the climbing in Horizon. and you're moving around and you're quite kind of turned around weird, and you can't quite do that because obviously your body's not automatically turning with the climbing, and so you're sort of facing the wrong way and you got to turn around. And I got wrapped up in the cable a couple times doing that.
Yeah.
But other than that, like, yeah, like it does what it says. It says what it does, and I think it delivers on everything it hyped itself up to be in terms of the hardware.
Let's talk about the software now. So obviously the big quote-unquote killer app for PlayStation VR2, we're seeing it right now, is Horizon Call of the Mountain. Is it a killer app?
No. But it is good.
Yeah?
Like, is it a reason to buy a $500 VR headset? No, not remotely. But it is a nice demo of it. When that thing flies over, the headset rattles in a way that you're like, what the hell?
So you can feel like the wind going over.
It's very noticeable. Here's, everyone is going to play with their hands when they first get in this boat.
Yep.
Yeah, and I will. The best thing about it is because everything is sharper and more higher res, and just more presented better. Everything in this scene feels like it's there and heavy and weighty, and like you feel like you're there, and that these things are stepping over you.
I mean, the machines
and tangible in a way that a lot of the PSVR 1 stuff just didn't.
Yeah, the scale of those machines, seeing them from its perspective. They're way bigger.
Yeah.
Than I thought they were.
Yeah, they're especially even like the stuff like the little like the gazelles and
the little
ones.
The
Watchers are huge.
They're scary. You're like, wait a minute,
and on the flip side, at one point you do run into Aloy. Aloy is briefly shown because I think it takes place like in the beginning of Forbidden West, because I think she's passing through the Sun Empire or whatever on her way west. And she helps you. She shows you where the mountain is that you need to climb.
This is cool right here.
And she takes
Look at
off.
This. Your hand.
There's a lot of interaction with things in this that's very impressive.
It's really crazy.
But I was shocked because like Aloy's tiny.
Oh,
like,
really?
She came up to like my chin, and I was like, why are you so small?
How tall is she supposed to be?
Well, I looked it up on the wiki afterwards, and she's 5'6".
Really?
And I was like, I don't know. In my head, she was like 5'11". I thought she was almost
like 6 foot.
She was almost as tall as me.
Yeah,
like in my head. But no, she's this tiny little girl.
Wow.
Like, and I'm like, wow, that's weird. And like if I had been there in real life, it would have been super awkward because I've been like, I just thought you'd be taller.
Yeah.
It's okay, like but yeah, the monsters are the machines are huge, and like, and I will say like you are playing a Shadow Karja guy. Like there's no, you don't pick your character. You're playing this Shadow.
Is there any plot to this at all?
Oh yeah, it's a big plot. It's a pretty story heavy. So you are a Shadow Karja, and they are transporting you because your whole you were part of the Karja, and your whole family ended up joining the Shadow Karja in the first game. And now it's over, and the Shadow Karja have been, pushed back and stuff. And your older brother, went up the mountain, up the Sun Spear, to find something or other, and has not returned. And the that's funny. And then they take you back. And the head of the Sun people, the Karja, was basically like, we sent someone after them, and they didn't come back, so we want you to climb the mountain, and because your reputation as a great climber precedes you, so go up there and bring our person back and find your brother and find the thing he was looking for, because we need it because of the renegade machine thing that's going on.
So the whole object is to get to the top.
So the object is literally to climb the whole mountain.
Okay.
Which does take a very long time. And there's periodically you come back down to the village, and it's crafting and like gathering equipment. And the crafting is actually pretty cool because sorry, dude.
Oh.
The crafting is actually pretty cool because you actually have to put the items together.
You craft it.
Like you have to put the arrow together, you have to put your pick together, and like there's little diagrams to follow and stuff. And that all works surprisingly well. Like you got to wrap it with like string and stuff, and that's kind of fun.
Yeah.
The only downside is every once in a while I'd clack the controllers together.
Oh, I can see that.
I'd forget but actually I think the ring is actually in part to guard you,
to keep you from doing that.
I think that's partly why those are there. But I am kind of waiting for like black scuff marks to appear.
Oh, it's going to happen. Yeah.
And yeah, but so yeah, like it's robust. Like you have all the different ammo types that you have, for the bow. The bow works really, really well. I think they're using the eye tracking to kind of tell what you are aiming at. Because I hit what I'm aiming at like 90% of the time, even when we're in the middle of fight. Yeah,
it's really crazy.
You can touch almost anything in this game.
That's nuts, man.
Like the first time you get to like a little like camp thing, you're like, oh, I wonder if I can take the lids off all these things. There's stuff inside, and there's torches you can light. And you can. There was a dish, and I was throwing the dish up in the air and catching it, and I missed it, and it fell on the ground, and it shattered into a bunch of pieces. And you can take the pieces and touch other things with the pieces. At one point, and you gain health back by eating like fruit, eating like apples and pears.
But you actually pick up and eat.
Yeah, you can also pick them up and juggle them.
No way.
Like I was like trying to juggle fruit at one point, and it was actually kind of
That's insane.
And I could do that with the torches. You can flip them and grab them and catch them that way. It's very sensitive. And matter of fact, on the Star Wars game, I played the Tales from the Galaxy's Edge game, and you got to carry guns around in that because you can put blasters on your hips, but you can carry extra guns because they have finite ammo, so you have to keep picking up weapons. And to pick up other objects like inventory things that the enemies would drop, I just throw the gun in the air, pick everything up, and then catch it as it came down.
Yeah,
like that's how precise. That's how and it all worked. It was just like they're helping you. They know what you're trying to grab, so they kind of teleports to your hand. Yeah. But it feels good.
Yeah.
And it feels good to shoot stuff in this. Like it's the first person stuff where you're shooting them and like. You see everything blow up, and it's the same. The little hit points come out. Your weak spots are all the same. If you played Horizon, you got an advantage because you know what to shoot.
Yeah.
It's all that stuff is really cool. The one thing I will say is the combat is not super common. It doesn't happen a whole lot. What you're mostly doing is climbing.
Yeah. I guessed that when we first saw this game. It's going to be mostly climbing with little interspersed. Watch this. This blows my mind, Matt. Yeah. So watch this. Breaks the plate.
Yep.
And then he'll pick up a piece of the plate. Mm-hmm. This is pretty impressive, man. For PlayStation VR2, something that you bought for $500, you can pick up individual pieces of the plate. Yep. Now watch, he can manipulate. This is crazy, man.
Yeah, it's remarkable. Like
it really is.
And there's a bunch of stuff where
watch this. Now he scrapes.
You scrape it into the bowl.
The it's crazy.
It's really neat, and like. And you'll eventually you start to learn to do stuff like you're like, okay, I'm carrying this around to do this, and I got to do this on this thing, and you're like, and you're just like, oh, I'll just put this over here.
So awesome, man.
And you're just like, oh, I'll just take this, I'll put this on here while I'm doing this thing over here, and you come back over, pick it up. Like it becomes very second nature, manipulating things in the environment.
It's really awesome. Like that to me, like blew my mind. Wow, that little clip right there, I was like, whoa, that's some intense stuff, man.
And you eventually, that's your gong.
People are asking some questions, so I want to get to them before we get too far away. El Guapo 3385. Matt, I've heard about connectivity issues with the controllers, specifically the left one dropping connection. Any instances of that in your playthrough?
Never.
Okay. Let's see. There's one other one I think I saw here.
I have had absolutely no problem with the controllers at all, except for the fact that they run out of batteries in like 3 hours.
God of Gamblers 33. I kept picking up apples and throwing them at AI characters.
Yeah, the bow is left or right-handed.
Oh, it is.
And you can pick at the beginning of the game like what you want, but you're not stuck with that because the way you put it away and pull it out is you reach behind your shoulder and press L2. Mm-hmm. And if you put it away on like doing that, and then you reach behind your shoulder and press L2 with your right hand, it'll come out on your right hand. So you can switch hands whenever you want. And it even if you look at the left hand on this, you'll see like little looks like little like metal feathers, green feathers. That's your life bar.
Oh, okay.
So the green disappears as you get hurt, and that will switch hands depending on which hand you're using to shoot the bow.
People are asking, how on rails is it? How much is it on rails?
Very.
Okay.
Like there's little side areas you can go through to find like loot and like crafting materials you wouldn't otherwise. And there's what's called legendary climbs, which are like optional long climbs where there's like something good at the top. Usually there's a bunch of those in the game. But it's pretty linear. Like it's like, and you do have to you have to like, you can fast travel through the campfire. So like there are moments where you'll go through a certain point, you get what you need, fast travel back to the camp, and then you can go to this map table thing and pick where you want to go back and get collectibles, go back and get, that's the war table there. And so you can go back to previous levels, but they are definitely linear.
And there's Aloy. You're right. Look how little she is.
She's so small.
It's really crazy. You never would have guessed just playing her games that's the way.
I mean,
it
there's
is.
not a lot to judge her by really in the game because it's just usually just her. But like, I don't know. I just thought she was like 6 feet tall.
Cinetyke is asking, any concerns with the cable dangling when you're standing up, or can you forget about it safely?
Other than I got wrapped in it a couple times with the climbing when I'd spun around too many times. But I played it facing away from the PlayStation 5, so the cable from the back was completely out of my front.
Yeah.
It was fine.
Okay.
Like I really haven't had a problem with that. Although I will say I'm used to it because all the VR stuff I have is that. Is that cable. I've never owned a wireless VR headset, so if you're used to that, it might be more of a problem for you.
Is there jumping locomotion where you can like teleport really quickly? Because a lot of the footage I've seen for this is jumpy.
There is, I think you can, but I didn't use it. I use smooth motion because I'm not a wuss. And you can jump. One of the things I will say about this is eventually you are doing some Spider-Man stuff in this game.
Like in your living room.
Yeah, well, because like to jump, you push you kind of flick the controllers down and press the bottom buttons, like the which aren't used tremendously a lot. Use that, and then the guy jumps, and then you have to either grab or use your pickaxe to hook on to whatever kind of Lara Croft style onto wherever you're jumping at. But eventually you get a grapnel, like a zip gun thing that like lets you latch on, and then you can pull stuff towards you. And you can like swing out and like jump and get, but eventually you have to you use the grapple gun, swing out. Like you'll do stuff where you okay, I got to jump off this platform, grapple gun that thing, swing on the grapple gun, jump off that, grapple gun this thing, swing over here, and then pull out my pickaxe and land on a cliff face.
Wow!
And and every once in a while you do something like that, and you're like, damn, I'm cool. I just did that. Like,
that's awesome.
Like there were moments in that month I'm like, you could do a Spider-Man game with this. Like you really could.
Wow.
Like Insomniac could maybe pull off a little Spider-Man
my guess
game.
is it's on the way.
I would think so because like there's a couple. It's like the grapple gun stuff in this. There's some of the cooler like locomotion stuff I've done in a VR game.
It sounds kind of awesome.
It's. I mean, I think the 7.5 out of 10 scores are pretty on target.
Is that around where you would give the hardware?
No, I would say it for Horizon.
Oh, for Horizon. Got it.
I think that's pretty on target.
Yeah.
Like it's once you've seen it, you've seen it. But like it's still enjoyable. Like even grabbing the handholds is satisfying. It's partly because of the vibration that
you feel like a little chunk every time you grab.
It feels tangible when you grab stuff. And there's multiple ways to go. Like that's one of the key things is you're not trying to find the magical single line up cliff. There's always a way over here, and you could use this vine up here.
Oh, cool.
Like there's actually some creativity a little bit in which way you get places a lot of times, especially outdoors. Indoors when you're climbing up ruins and stuff, it's more linear.
Okay.
But I've been pretty happy with how that works. So it's fun. Like it is fun. You are doing climbing most of the time, but it's not bad. And every time you get
worn out? Do you get tired doing it?
There are some of the legendary climbs last like I would say 5 to 10 minutes, and like at the end of a couple of them, but at the end of them, I'm kind of like the shoulders felt that because you're doing this for the whole time. And you're into, you're not thinking about you're over here and hand over hand over here.
Yeah.
And like, you got to watch. You can't clack the controllers together. Yeah. You don't think about it. Like you forget that you're holding these things and you're just moving your hands over.
Yeah.
The man has grip strength like you wouldn't fucking believe. Like I couldn't do it.
Let's talk about it.
And of course, it's beautiful. Like you get up to the top of various summits and peaks in this little, this area in this valley and stuff, and it's gorgeous.
And the depth and
it's gorgeous in a way I haven't seen a VR game be pretty. Because a lot of times you're like, oh, I bet that would be pretty if I could see it in an actual real video game.
Yeah.
But like there's like Vista moments in this that are. They're not on par with what Forbidden West can do, obviously with the the full 4K display or something, but like. You're like, yeah, that's great. That's really cool. Like, I'm glad I climbed up here and saw that kind of thing.
Awesome.
There's a little bit of accomplishment to that. So yeah, I'm pretty. Even as someone who was skeptical, I thought it was going to be kind of a throwaway side game, and it kind of is.
Yeah.
Like it's a very unnecessary story to tell in the Horizon world in comparison to what happens in the other games.
Yeah.
But like, it captures it. You feel like you're in that world. You see all these machines and these. The Thunderjaw comes out, and you're like, holy crap, that's huge.
Yeah.
Like. fighting the thing on the ground, or from a human eye perspective with the scale on this, you're like mostly what this game has done is make me respect Aloy more.
Right.
Like that's
you're like, damn girl.
I'm like, you just totally fear. And there is sneaking through grass, and there's everything from there is in here somewhere. It's
trapping.
There are traps.
Yeah.
Eventually you do have like ways to trap, but not much. I mean, it's not like as elaborate as.
I hardly use it in Forbidden West anyway.
No, you're mostly bow, but like you have little things. You have objects you can use for that. Eventually, you can craft some things, but like. And all the characters are fun. There's characters that are fun, and like they don't like you much because you're Shadow Karja, but you're trying to. Look, man, I'm just trying to get along.
Doing my job.
It reminded me of Dying Light a little bit. In the first Dying Light, where like nobody liked that guy. Was it Aiden? Was his name?
Yeah.
And he's like, look, man, I'm just trying to get along. Like it's like there's a lot of that
in the zombie apocalypse.
Yeah.
Let's talk about a couple of the other games quickly. Star Wars Tales from Galaxy's Edge. This game has actually been out there for a while.
Yeah, this was I want to say this was Oculus, right? This is a Quest game.
But they've reworked it. This is like the enhanced version or something.
I'm not sure what is enhanced because I never played it before. But it's pretty neat. I'm a Star Wars dork, so of course I was going to play it. Of course I was going to play this.
Yeah.
So this is set on the planet in the world that the Disneyland land is. So you'll recognize some of that. But mostly what it is you are the best droid repairman on the Outer Rim, a repair person, I guess. You never see yourself. So it's whoever you are, and you end up you're on a freighter that's delivering a bunch of stuff, and you get attacked by
a taco. It just showed a taco.
No, I don't remember what it's the.
You're attacked.
It's if you remember Force Awakens, where they attack Han Solo on the ship when they first meet Han Solo, and the guys with the red, the mercenaries with the red like armor, it's those guys.
Oh, okay.
I can't remember their name.
I don't remember either
because I don't care about anything that happened in that part of the movie. But
looks like it has an all-star cast.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of So there's like Jedi. So the main bulk of it is that you're going around trying to help the guy you're working for recover his cargo because the ship crashes, which is actually it's all pretty cool. Like you're walking around and you're kind of like they teach you how to do everything, and then the pirates attack and they're like, get the blaster out of that thing. You've got this gun and you're like, it's a fucking Star Wars blaster like in your hand. It's really neat. And then like you can like holster it. You get holsters on two sides, and the guns all run out of ammo. Like you don't have a permanent gun.
So you toss the gun.
So you can throw the gun at them. Like they don't care, but but you pick up all the guns they drop basically. And some of them just run out of ammo. Some of them like overheat, and you have to like shotgun like clack them or vent them or something, and then they have more ammo after that. But they all eventually run out, so you have to keep cycling through. They've got every blast you can think of. They have the little one that Leia uses all the time. They have they have Han's, the DL-44. They have the E-11s from the Stormtroopers. Like anything you can think of is in there. Thermal detonators. All the Star Wars weapons are in there. There's lightsabers, but lightsaber stuff.
I'm surprised how gamey this is. I really thought this was like a VR experience.
It really is. It's a shooter. Like it's a full game, and there's like secret areas to find and all this stuff. But like and this one does have teleporting, so you can move around. So you move around normally like this, but to jump to different places, you hold. It's weird. You hold down on the right stick, and it brings up the little arc with a target for where you're going to land.
Yeah.
And it has to be blue to land there. So you have to kind of angle your way to where you want to get. And then to get up higher, you get a jetpack that you can hit one of the buttons and it pops you almost instantly straight up. You're like, what the hell? But while you're up there, you use that vantage point to use the teleport to get somewhere higher.
Gotcha.
And that's so there is actually some kind of platforming. You see there's the remotes from the original movie that Luke trained against. Yep. You can have up to there's all kinds of different ones of those. You have up to 3 of those orbiting you and fighting for you.
Oh, that's cool.
That thing that just flew away there, that's a health pack. The health pack, you can have them in your inventory, but then you can stick one on your wrist, and when you're really in trouble, you just grab it off your wrist and spray it, and you get health pack. They do a really good job with there's options for where your body, because you play the VR thing and like you look down at the body and it's like out here, it's like weird. So you get to actually alter how tall your body is, so it fits how tall you think you are, and how far forward or back it is, and then you have an inventory pack when I didn't understand, it was saying like where the, it was like an option of where to put the inventory pack. So when I first started the game, my inventory pack was floating like a foot in front of my chest.
Oh, geez.
And I'm like, well, that's weird. And so then I looked into the options again, and you can move that back to like fit against. So everything fits against where you want it to be. You can raise and lower the belt to be where you want to like reach down to grab your gun. You got a little mini tool that goes on the front of your chest too. That like that. It's like 3 modes. That's how you solve a lot of the puzzles in the game. And you just sort of go through and kill stormtroopers and bounty hunters and Star Wars aliens and smugglers and solve little puzzles, like little puzzle things, and gain more items and pick up more guns and rinse and repeat. And it's kind of fun.
How much was it?
40.
Oh, is that okay?
I felt like I was being ripped off when I bought it, but after I'd played it for like 5 hours and I realized I was only like halfway through the first part of 4.
Oh, wow.
I was like, oh, maybe this is kind of a fun.
Okay.
Because like there's
a real game.
The bulk of the game seems to be this like little campaign where you're going around Batuu and working with these like smuggler guys. But there's a Jedi section. There's a flashback to prequel era with Yoda section that you saw in the trailer there. There's lightsaber stuff. It's not nothing. Yeah. Like it isn't like like you said. I thought it was going to be one of those like VR experience.
Just walk around. Like there's Darth Vader.
Yeah, like you.
Oh, he swings
like
his
something
lightsaber.
that you pay like $10 to do at a VR center or something. No, it's a full game.
Legit game.
And like I said, like I was doing stuff with like I'd throw the gun up and pick up all the credits on the ground and then catch the gun before it hit the ground. You can play around with it a bit. Like it's and like you got a little comm link, so you press a button, you press the buttons on your wrist, and like the hologram pops up and talks to you, and you can scan stuff.
Live your Star Wars fantasy.
You can hit a button in the middle and you scan stuff and get information about everybody. I love that. Now you're doing it right there. I'm scanning a dead Trandoshan. That's how you get my money's worth out of the Star Wars game. And it looks pretty good. Like,
it doesn't look as good as Horizon.
Doesn't look like Horizon, no, but it's passable.
Looks good enough. Yeah.
And like, I mean, there is something real satisfying about shooting a stormtrooper in the head with Han Solo's blaster.
I bet.
In this thing, like, it's just like, yep, that was great. Like, it's a little obtuse in places. It doesn't explain itself, especially the gun. It took me a while to realize, like, oh, the guns are limited ammo. I'm not just going to keep this pistol until I upgrade it or something.
Yeah.
I have to be. It's Halo style. You have
disposable.
You got 2 guns, and you got to throw them away as you use them.
Pick up more.
And of course, I got 2 guns on my hips, and then I'm picking 2 more up, which I can't store, so I'm constantly. That's what I mean. I'll put my guns down on this crate while I solve this puzzle, and I'm come back and get my guns back off the crate. And like the object permanence is appreciated.
Yeah,
it's cool. Like, and again, like there's that element of scale and how clear and HD it is.
Yeah,
like the bartender is like really big. Really tall, like that guy with the 8 eyes.
Yeah, we had it in the B-roll there at the beginning. You're looking up.
You're looking way up at him, and you're like, and then the smuggler guy comes in, and he's like 2 feet tall.
You're a little shorter.
He's like 2 feet tall. He's tiny, and you're like, oh, the little guy. It feels Star Warsy. But the only downside is it is a little teleporty in places, and like when I left the cantina, I thought I was going to go get to explore kind of the Galaxy's Edge area, and no, it just warps you to the next level. So it is very, finish the level, you see a little arrow on the ground, I'm going to go to the next section, and like, it's very levelly.
I mean, that's the way gamey. A lot of VR games are, let's be honest.
Yeah.
That's just kind of the way they're set up. And then finally, maybe the most pleasant surprise of all, Gran Turismo 7, which was announced late, and as it turns out, from a lot of the reporting that I've read on PlayStation VR2, this is kind of the crown jewel. Yeah,
this is really good. This is like, so basically, there's not a whole lot of VR feature here. It's basically like you go through the game as normal. You're looking at it in the headset, obviously. And when the race starts, you're in the cockpit.
Yeah.
That's it. And I will say this is maybe the most impressive thing you can do with a PSVR 2 right now. Just especially if you've already played Gran Turismo 7 a fair amount, because it really doesn't look all that different.
That's impressive.
Like the lighting is still. I mean, I'm sure it's not on par if you like digital foundried it or whatever.
Yeah.
But like when the sun's going down and like you get the light, the quality of the light is very good. Like, very convincing. And in this game, I have my car, my Audi TTS, that I use for a lot of stuff. And I loaded it up, and I am in my car.
That's
like
crazy.
it's in my, and like it drives like it. I will say this: I am better at this game in VR because I can look to one side. You want to talk about real driving simulator? Like, amazing. Like really good, really, really good. The situational awareness is second to none. Like the feeling of being there. The one thing I will say, like I said, the closest I've gotten to motion sickness is vertigo from pulling maneuvers in this that my body expected to feel and didn't.
Yeah,
and my brain was
absence of the G's basically.
Yeah, exactly. Because but also like that's a bit of a compliment because like it's so convincing my body's expecting it to happen and it doesn't understand why that didn't happen. But like I said, there were a couple races that I kind of stalled out on in this game because I was like, I can't get through it. And I beat them.
Really in VR?
Like, in VR,
did?
Like I'm better at this game in VR.
Wow.
And the one caveat I'll say about in terms of recommending the PSVR 2 or whatever, if you are a super diehard Gran Turismo fan, if you have a steering wheel and pedals, if you have a whole setup for Gran Turismo, go ahead and buy this.
Welcome to heaven.
Go ahead and buy it. Because I'm playing it just with my controller, and I'm like, man, if I had a steering wheel, you could maybe convince me I was in my car right now.
It's a lot cheaper than setting up an iRacing.
Then you put in like one of the big, like the high performance, like the exotic stuff, and you're just flying through. The only criticism I really have is I wish it was more than just tracks.
Yeah.
I wish you could Forza Horizon like through the countryside or something.
Yeah.
Like the only downside is that it's
Gran Turismo.
all stuck on Gran Turismo. Yeah, it's all yeah.
And then you played one other...
the photo mode. The photo mode, you can also walk around a car and look at it in VR like that, and that's cool too. But the racing in VR in this is stunning.
Yeah.
Like it's just so good.
Yep. And then you played a game called Demio?
Demio, yeah, I don't know.
Demio.
This one, I just got this because it looked interesting, and I like board games, and I was like, that's cool, like maybe.
What's impressed me about this is how accurate you can be.
Yeah.
And reach down and pluck a very little play piece out, the exact one that you want.
Yeah, well, the little laser thing that comes out of your finger helps with that a lot.
Yeah.
I don't get the thing I want every time, like because I don't think this isn't really showing how it really works.
Yeah.
So in the actual game, little lasers come out of your fingers to show what you're going to pick up.
It shows where your hand's going to go.
Yeah. So all you need to do is put the laser on the piece and pull the trigger, and then you'll pick the thing. It'll automatically grab.
Gotcha. Okay.
So yeah, this video here is a little
misleading.
And there you see the arrows, the lines there. That's more like what you're doing.
Gotcha.
Obviously, whoever's doing this has also played this game a lot. So there's a, but this is more or less what it is. You've got a party of adventurers on a little dungeon crawl on the table, and you maneuver them turn by turn through the dungeon and kill enemies, and you move them around and drop them on something. You roll a die every time you attack or whatever, and they got a critical hit there.
Now, Gran Turismo 7, the PlayStation VR2 update, that's free, correct?
Yes.
And then Resident Evil Village, is that upgrade free?
I don't know because I don't have Resident Evil Village on PS5.
Okay. Maybe someone in the chat will
The
let us know.
upgrades for Rez and Thumper were like $5 each.
So they did cost. For Rez and Thumper, they're charging you...
In fact, Rez might have been like $7.
Really?
I think Rez was more than Thumper.
Yeah.
But I was willing to pay that because I do like those games a lot.
Yeah.
And Rez is really cool.
I can
Rez
imagine.
looks great. I didn't get to Thumper really, but
what about No Man's Sky? Did you get to try that?
Briefly, it's very blurry.
Is it?
And to the point that a bunch of people on Reddit think that it's an error.
Okay.
Like it looks worse.
Some kind of a bug.
It looks bad, and in a way that it didn't on PSVR 1.
Oh,
I would say. And so there's people that think there might have been an error, and then maybe there's a hot fix.
We'll probably work on it, patch it up.
Also, I have no interest in playing that game in VR just because it's cool to look around for a while, but like all the nitty gritty crafting and gathering stuff, it doesn't really add much for me.
I can see that. So here we are. We talked about the hardware. We've talked about the software. Now it's time for you to tell us whether people should go and buy this thing, and if so, who should buy it?
I am still going to say you should not buy this.
Really?
Because I do not trust Sony to support it beyond the calendar year.
I can understand that perspective.
That's the only drawback I'm saying is this thing performs like a $500 VR headset. Like it is a quality piece of hardware. I have enjoyed playing all the games I've played with it, even though I think several of them were more expensive. Horizon shouldn't be full price.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that's not a $60 game.
Yeah.
Maybe in terms of like the effort and the tech put in it, but like it doesn't feel like,
they're trying to recoup that R&D.
I paid $60 for Forbidden West.
Yeah.
and paying that much for this too is silly.
That's right.
The Galaxy's Edge should probably be like $10 cheaper.
Yeah.
But you know what? It will be.
It will be. It won't take long.
So there's a little nickel and diming happening there. I wish the Dark Pictures thing was out in time,
which was just delayed like last.
Yeah, that's like 2 weeks out now.
Yeah.
And then so I looked through, I looked through the store to find stuff, and there's another one I bought that I didn't get to that was like it's like an anime sword fighting game, like Axie. I can't begin with an A.
Yeah, I saw it on your
yeah, it was on your
dashboard.
The dashboard. I can't remember. I'm sure someone in the chat knows what it was.
It's called like Atriid or something.
Yeah,
something like
Atrium,
something like that. Yeah,
something like that. I can get to that. And there was another like medieval combat one I didn't buy. I picked the anime one because it was PS5 exclusive, and I figured it would be more bells and whistles, but I didn't get around to it. Yeah, I wish it was more backwards compatible. This stuff, like, I can't believe Beat Saber isn't ready.
I think
yet.
that my guess is PlayStation is building an API or something that will make it easy to port those games over. They probably should have had it done already. I mean,
it should have. I mean, the Astrobot thing should be playable on this. I would definitely be interested in playing the Arkham game on this. I mean,
there's several.
I'd be interested in playing the Iron Man VR game on this.
Games.
Moss is available.
Already,
both of them are.
Both of them. Okay.
They're available as a combo. I didn't get those. Not yet. That probably will eventually because I haven't played those extensively, especially not the second one. But I would love to play Iron Man VR with actual like fast load times. Yeah, that was the real downfall.
It was the real downfall for it, for sure.
Like a bunch of the old PSVR games, like a little visual clarity update, and you know, I'd be in. And the faster load times like that, the fast load times help a lot. Yeah, because I'm not sitting here staring at a blank. The worst was Iron Man, where they just go to a black screen for like a minute, and I'm just nowhere. Like, what is this Nietzschean?
It also didn't have the button you could push so you could see outside the.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's like, for God's sake, I'm sitting here playing a fucking Iron Man VR game. You do not want to give me time to think about my life choices. And you may ask yourself, well, how did I get here? And like, Behemoth actually looks interesting.
It does, yeah.
So yeah, like, I mean, I guess I would say go ahead and buy it if you are never, ever going to miss that $500.
Yeah, if you have a lot of disposable income.
Yeah. I still would not have bought this if we didn't need it to talk about.
Yeah.
If they had sent you one...
I appreciate you doing that,
If they had sent you one, I would have just borrowed it for a week and been fine.
Yeah.
You know?
Because my guess is this is going to maybe like the last one where it's hot stuff the first like month. And then the software just starts trickling
it's just gone.
In.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like I'm not going to pretend I didn't play the hell out of that Star Trek game. Yeah. On the first one.
Yeah, like, I mean, I played a lot of games. Wolf Among Us, I played a ton of that. Like, there was some games on the first one that really resonated with me. The ones that didn't make me sick. I enjoyed it.
Rush of Blood was great. I'm looking forward to Switchback, obviously.
Yeah.
But I looked through that store, and past Switchback, I'm like, there's nothing here.
I know.
Even the stuff they had announced that day.
I know.
There was nothing particularly interesting in there.
We have some questions from people.
Altair Breaker. Altair Breaker. That was it.
Yeah. Or wait, actually, we don't have any questions. We already answered them all. Okay. So there you go. That's PlayStation VR2. It sounds like the only people you recommend it to are wealthy people.
Pretty much. If you are rich enough that you can just buy this thing and never think about it again, if Sony decides that they're done after a year, and it sounds like from sales of this thing they might be. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what their plans are. I still do not really fully understand why this came out.
Yeah.
It seems doomed. It really does. And
even though it's a great kit of hardware.
Oh, fantastic. But I think they blew their load with that first one. I think you had one shot at this and you did it too soon.
Yeah. I was burned by the first one.
Yeah. But I think if you'd bought this and it had launched with all those same things plus with the news, I think it would have been a different reception.
It would have been a different story for sure.
This thing is head and shoulders above. I mean, you'll see when you take it home with you. But
so what about people that did buy the first one and were like, oh, there's some things that I like, but the tech wasn't quite there? Do you think they should think about upgrading?
I mean, it all depends on how much disposable income you have. Yeah. That's it.
That's the big expectation.
This is a luxury purchase of all luxury purchases.
Luxury purchases,
and you factor in the console you already bought. This is $1,100 VR system.
Yeah. Actually, more than that after tax.
After taxes, yeah.
So it's a tough ask.
And frankly,
wait for a sale. I don't think this thing's gonna be on sale for a while, buddy.
I mean, they'll hit if it gets discontinued. I mean, look, they already cut the allocation in half for the launch.
Yeah,
like it's not working.
Sneaky's asking if
this thing might be on clearance by Christmas.
Immersion.
What?
Sneaky's asking if the floating hands breaks immersion, and that's a question for all VR, not just PlayStation VR.
No, I don't. You don't think about it.
Okay,
I never have. And actually, in the Star Wars one, there are no floating hands. You have a whole body.
That's right. Yeah. I guess the other thing I would say is like try to go someplace to try it.
Yeah,
like they may have it at a Best Buy.
Make friends with a rich guy.
Yeah, you can do that.
That's the trick.
Or maybe if they have it set up at Best Buy, you can go give it a whirl before you decide to plunk down your cash.
If you're at a position where you feel comfortable putting a public VR headset on you.
Yeah.
But
if you're wealthy, this will probably be one of the coolest toys of 2023.
Yeah. Was it Kevin Rafa is asking for a letter grade?
Yeah.
Like if you want me to divorce it from all cost benefit, like you want to remove the price, if you want to think about it as like I was given this thing and some games as a review copy, and I'm not going to think about how much it costs to buy it. I give it like an A.
That's great.
A minus. Like in terms of VR experience, and to be clear, I put VR experience on a different level than main video game experience.
Yeah, we don't get that.
But like this is some of the coolest VR stuff I've ever played. I am hard to impress with this stuff, and I'm pretty cynical. I've been cynical about this headset for a long time.
Yeah.
In terms of performance and how it presents itself, I am pretty blown away by it.
Great.
But I still do not trust Sony to support this outside of the launch
because we've
window.
seen it time and time.
I cannot in good conscience say this is awesome. You should go buy it and play it, because I feel like we're all, including me, we're all going to end up with this $500 paperweight sitting here in 9 months because there's nothing else left on the schedule except a couple stragglers.
Something you dust off once or twice a year because Sony finally puts out a game here or there.
Yeah, and again, like it's not. It also has a lack of what I would call toys. Things you could go back to
just
over and over again.
And enjoy over. And over
like
again.
I have enjoyed Horizon, but like, am I ever going to play that again?
After you finished it?
Probably not. Like part of the big appeal of Horizon.
Will come to your house and you'll play
for sure.
it.
But part of the appeal of the Horizon game is like what's around the next corner. Oh my god! Now I get to fight a Stormhawk and all that. It's like discovering all these things and seeing all these things in VR and from this perspective for the first time. And I don't know that I'll ever want to go back and just do the climbing, rock wall climbing simulator again just to see a Thunderjaw.
Yeah.
Or like the Star Wars thing is a really cool novelty, but like I don't know if it's a thing I'd go back to because it's not really that amazing a shooter when you get down to it. It's more the novelty of what you're doing.
It's VR Star Wars.
Right.
That's the novelty.
And once you've done it,
you've kind of
done it.
Yep.
This is something that I'm like I'd be more interested in paying like $50 to use it for an hour.
Yeah.
Or $10 to use it for an hour. But then you get into the whole, I don't know, rental VR headsets are gross.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend that. Not with COVID still floating around. I would not recommend that one. One last question from Vincent. What would they need to do to get you to buy it? If they announce Spider-Man 2 as a VR mode at the PlayStation Showcase in May, should someone pull the trigger then?
I don't think that it wouldn't be Spider-Man 2. It would be a separate Spider-Man
He's just saying
spin-off game.
But what would it take?
It would take a robust and regular schedule of releases about a year and a half from now.
To be able to see...
I would need to be able to see the future.
And
not just
see that it has like a game a month or something like that.
Or at least do the Nintendo thing where there's something once a quarter that makes me want to break this thing out.
Okay, that sounds fair.
Which there might be this year.
Yeah,
but
after
it's
that
next
is the
year
X factor.
that I'm more. Yeah, like I'm sorry.
After the first holiday
for
season.
$500, it needs to last more than a year.
Because what could happen, Matt, is this goes through its first holiday season. It doesn't do very well.
And then Sony just quietly never mentions it again, like they did with the PSP and the Vita and the PSVR and the motion controllers and the iToy and everything. Yeah. All their peripherals just sort of vanish into the ether.
They die on the vine. Yep. So there you go. That's PlayStation VR2 in-depth review from GameFace. Here we just spent about an hour walking you through the hardware and some of the biggest games. I think at the very least you should know now whether for you personally it's worth spending the $550. And that's $550 before taxes. For most people, it's going to cost them around $600. Plus, obviously, you have to have a PlayStation 5 console before this will even work. So there you go. That's PlayStation VR2. Next up, it's been a busy week for Sony. Not only did Sony launch its second VR HMD, it also had a huge state of play. When I say huge, I mean huge. It was a 40-minute long video presentation. As you know, State of Play is PlayStation's version of the Nintendo Direct. Just basically a pre-produced video segment that shows off upcoming products that will run on PlayStation. And one thing I would say about this, Matt, to your point about worrying about future games coming up, now for PlayStation VR2, I think it actually did that pretty well, the State of Play.
Yeah, there was some. Although, like Vincent points out that the general schedule of PS5 right now is not particularly robust and regular, and that's true.
What I was going to say right after that was, however, if you're a PlayStation 5 owner, that State of Play was not exactly encouraging.
That State of Play was garbage.
It really was, Matt.
There were 3 things I liked in that entire thing.
Let's start talking about them.
We'll see. Yeah, we'll see if we get to all of them.
We're not going to talk about everything because we can't.
I would be surprised if you didn't talk about these 3 things.
I think
two of them you're definitely going to talk about.
We've
one of them I
aligned
think
on this,
you will.
Yes.
Yeah.
The first one, we finally got the long-awaited first real in-engine, real game gameplay of Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League.
This is not one of them.
This is not one of the 3 that you liked.
No. This game looks like shit.
I wouldn't say that.
But it doesn't visually look. It looks pretty good. But I cannot imagine a DC game I want to play less than this.
But I will say this. It did turn out to be what you said it was going to be.
Yes, it did.
Which is
I was wrong. It wasn't first person. It's third person.
Yeah, but it still
I don't know why I thought that.
Is a cooperative shooter.
Yeah. It's Borderlands.
Yeah, and I really thought that there was more.
Actually, you know what I kept thinking? This is not a compliment, of course. You know what I kept thinking of when I was watching this? Agents of Mayhem.
Yeah, a little bit.
Why
Got a
did
little
you
bit
make
of that vibe to it?
But you know what Agents of Mayhem didn't do? Make everyone use the same kind of projectile shit.
Right.
Why does everybody use a gun in this?
Yeah.
Why are we in a superhero universe and you're making me use guns?
Why
does King Shark use a gun?
I know. I really thought there would be a lot more melee-focused combat in this, but
no,
it really
just flying
is
around,
just
floating around. Man, I mean, I don't want. Maybe not. But you know what? The fact this takes place all in Metropolis, a Metropolis I do not recognize as Metropolis until you told me that. By the way. Really makes it feel like they're salvaging that Superman game that they couldn't finish.
You think that they're reusing the environments from that?
You already built a city. Why not fucking use it?
Why not use it? Yeah, you may be right.
I will say I like a lot of the I would probably watch a compilation of all the cutscenes because the cutscenes were pretty well directed.
Technically,
yeah,
it's a great looking game.
Yeah, like you can tell it's next gen only.
Yeah,
like it's the particles everywhere. All this, there's a lot happening.
It reminds me of Gotham Knights.
Yeah,
as it turns out. Similar.
Yeah, I mean, well, visually, I think it looks better than. Gotham Knights, visually.
For sure. But I'm saying, as far as the gameplay loop and what you're doing while you're playing it,
I will say I spent a lot less time shooting at purple weak spots in Gotham Knights. Like, how did this take 7 years?
I know.
There's nothing here.
It's a shame, Matt. It really is. Do you think Rocksteady just lost a lot of talent?
I kept joking that they were just going to make a tank game, and they did. You're all just little tanks.
Yeah.
I hate this.
Yeah, I'm disappointed. I was disappointed.
I hate it.
Shooting all like the weak spots on everything.
I was all ready.
The whole game is shooting purple orbs. It seems like.
Yeah, I was all ready to be like, okay, like maybe I'm sure it'll be fine. There'll be little tricks that go there. The one thing that I think is slightly cool is that Captain Boomerang can do the thing where he throws the boomerang and super flash speeds to where he put it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if we are at the point where I am saying that the coolest part of a game is something Captain Boomerang does, you are in trouble. And I'll tell you, man.
Everything is always shooting the purple orbs.
I will tell you, man, I looked real hard and I couldn't find anyone saying nice things about this game.
There weren't many positive comments, sentiments on social media.
What in the hell happened?
I don't know, man. I really think Rocksteady just lost a lot of talent.
Matt McMuscles, I await your video one day on this one because what the hell?
Yeah, so this was a pretty big disappointment after all the anticipation. Also, the pedigree of the developer, I was really surprised at what this ultimately is. I do think that some people will probably still enjoy it. Look, there are people that like Gotham Knights.
Yeah, you know what? Like, Gotham Knights, I think, is still probably a better use of the IP.
Maybe.
Like, because at least you're doing...
More purple orbs. They're on everything.
At least you're doing, like, superhero stuff in that. Like, I feel like I'm playing as Nightwing and Batgirl in that to some degree. Not the degree that, like... I mean, it's not as good a game as what, the good Arkham games were. But, like... This is just, if this didn't have the DC, this could be any of these stupid game as a service shooters.
It could be.
That
it doesn't necessarily even.
You can't tell what that is.
Universe.
Like, look at that. Now that no characters are on screen, what the hell game is this? You don't know.
I know.
There's nothing. There's nothing.
Yep.
And of course, the game as a service stuff's still in there. I mean, I don't think that's such a big deal. I mean, I know everybody's mad that there's a battle pass.
Yeah,
but it's just cosmetic shit.
Yeah.
But it does show. It's just a weird thing that shows like you did not learn anything from Avengers.
Yeah.
And you should have.
It's a disappointing.
It's a disaster.
Yeah. It was not good.
Just awful.
Sneaky says this is nothing like Gotham Knights. Gotham Knights was a normal game, not this. I think it is very similar.
Clearly, there's shared philosophies.
4-player, open world, co-op, mostly shooting, light melee.
Well, I wasn't mostly shooting in Gotham Knights.
It was mostly melee?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah.
I thought most of it was shooting stuff.
No.
I didn't play much of it.
No,
so.
Gotham Knights is all fisticuffs. And some distance stuff, but it's like Batarang shit.
Gotcha.
I mean, I guess if you play Red Hood, there's some shooting, but even that has to be mixed in with your melee. This is just a shooter.
It really is.
This is just a third-person shooter.
Yeah.
No ifs, ands, or buts.
So we waited all this time to see it, and now that we have, we're all disappointed. Mm-hmm. That's pretty much what it comes down to.
I mean, look, you know that I've not had a high opinion of this thing for a long time, and somehow I was still disappointed by this. I was not ready for that. I thought I would just be like, see, told you so, and in the end I'm like, I was not harsh enough on what I thought this was going to be.
Kevin Roffa says he's scared having this on his fantasy team. I don't know if I would be that.
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to review poorly.
I think it's probably still going to review at least high 7s.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I don't.
Just if only for its technical element, because it is a really pretty game.
Yeah, and I think the story is very 3 edgy 5 me.
Yeah.
Because I've read all the stuff about it, and it's just sort of the usual schlocky, edgy shit. But it does look like it's very well produced in terms of the scene where it's
well crafted, but it's the concept behind it.
It's sort of like the Mortal Kombat and Injustice stuff. It's like okay, you remove the fighting game and you've still got a pretty good straight to DVD animated movie,
right?
Yeah, maybe that's going to be the saving grace to some degree.
Yeah, and some people will resonate with that. Let's be honest.
It really feels like they are ending this universe forcibly.
Yeah,
and it feels because I don't see any possible way that you don't reset the timeline at the end of this game because you're killing all the main characters in the universe.
Right. I mean, that's the whole concept of the game. Yeah. Is they're all basically dead or in this weird state.
Yeah, or being brainwashed by Brainiac. And although all the purple makes me think of Eclipso. I know you don't know who Eclipso is, but
I don't.
Eclipso is a demon in DC that possesses people through a purple gem.
Oh,
and that reminds me of that way more than Brainiac. I know Brainiac is green and purple and blue or whatever, but it
is weird that they chose purple for all the orbs.
Yeah.
Purple orb shooter.
I mean, you can tell if you know the Brainiac stuff, like you can tell that like that is. The purple orb on the helicopter, it's like weird Brainiac growth on it, and that's the Brainiac thing you gotta blow. I get what they're doing.
Yeah.
It's just stupid. It's just it's just the tank shit again. It's just get behind him and hit the weak spot again. It's just it's so pedestrian.
Really and I had higher hopes than you for this game, believe me, going in.
Yeah.
But now I'm pretty much right where you are. So that pretty much says it all.
And of course I think this also feels like Rocksteady sort of flipping the bird to Warner Brothers a little bit in the sense that they've been pressured to put the other Justice League characters in since the end of Arkham City. Mm-hmm. And in fact, Arkham Origins came about in part because it was originally going to be like a Silver Age throwback game where they were all like their old like kind of Adam West style Batman selves, and all the other Justice League guys would show up, and then Rocksteady ended up handing that off to Montreal, and then Montreal ended up making it just the origin of Arkham, and it was really just tonally the same as the others. Although a little dark. I think Arkham Origins has the best story of all of them, even though it's my least favorite.
I'd agree with that.
Actually, no, Arkham Knight I don't like Arkham Knight at all, but like
you think Arkham Knight is the best story?
No, I don't like Arkham Knight as a game at all.
Right.
But I think Arkham Origins has the best story, one way or the other. I don't like the gameplay as much. I think it's
not as good a game across the board, but
it's not on the level of Asylum City, but it is a good story.
Yep.
But like, it feels like finally we're going to put the Justice League in our game, and we're going to make them all bad guys and kill them all off. It just feels so weird and it's like why is everyone adapting DC stuff in every other medium so reluctant to just give us these characters the way they are remembered and known? Why won't anyone just give us a straight? I know James Gunn will, but just a straight Superman movie. Yeah. Why can't I just see?
Why is that so hard?
Why can't you? I mean, Wonder Woman did it.
I think a lot of it is they're just trying to emulate the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and
But the Marvel movies are not depressing slogfest thrown through post-production for all that. Like, there's optimism. Like, when I see Captain America and Avengers, I'm like, that's Captain America, and that's Iron Man.
I think they're too worried about the connective tissue between the films.
Can be,
Instead of just, as you said, instead of just making a good Superman movie, they're too worried about, okay, how's this going to tie into the Green Lantern thing that we're working on?
But Man of Steel doesn't have any of that. Yeah. And, like, it's still tonally bizarre and all this stuff. Like, true. You've got all this, I saw this picture of, like, somebody posted, like, you'll see people that are obsessed with the Snyder movies, and they'll post, like, it's like, this is our Superman, fuck James Gunn. And it's, like, a picture of, like, James Cavill Superman in silhouette from behind with glowing red eyes holding, like, a giant girder over time. Like, he looks like he's about to kill me. Like, he's always a monster in those. And it's like, who are these characters? Like, like,
not the ones that I grew up with.
And they don't, I mean, you don't have to be... it don't have to be the Blue Boy Scout all the time, but a little bit of optimism once in a while. People nice. Like I can't remember a time that Henry Cavill Superman like smiled.
No, you're right.
At anyone.
It's very dark.
It's very weird. And like this stuff too. It's like, do I want to see Superman be evil and kill people and have to be put down like a dog with a kryptonite bullet? Do I need that in 2023? No, I really don't.
Aren't there enough real villains in the DC? Yeah. I hear you. Next up, something that I liked, and I'm hoping this is something that you also liked. The Resident Evil 4 remake. And I will say this is the last...
that is one of the three.
This is the last trailer I want to see of this, because
I'm good. Like, you can just give me the game now.
Yeah, because this game looks hot.
I mean, it's what, like three weeks?
Oh my God, dude. I can't even tell you how excited I am for this freaking game.
I'm going to nominate Ada for, like, glow up of the century here. Like, that is a fantastic character design for her.
Oh man, everything in this trailer is just high post awesome. I
mean, obviously we don't know till we put our hands on it, but like, looks like they nailed it.
Yeah, it sure does.
That looks like Resident Evil 4 with modern tech to me.
I started looking through or watching some of Game Informer's coverage, and again, you should do the same. They're doing a great job with stuff over there, and they did the whole like 500 rapid fire questions. I got to like the 20th question. I'm like, I'm out. Because I'm learning so much about the game, and like it took like 30 seconds, and I was like, I already know more than I want to know, and I had to close it out.
Yep. Suplex is back. We're good with that.
I have not heard anything I've heard about or seen of this game. None of it's bad. No. It all looks awesome. And again, if you do want to know more, go to Game Informer. They are blowing this game out in the best ways possible. But this trailer, it's like, this is it. This is all I need to see. I'm good after this. I'm just waiting for the game to come out at this point. It looks awesome.
Yeah.
It really does, man.
I don't say this very often, but I blew it not picking this one earlier in the fantasy draft.
I think I might reap the rewards of this game for fantasy this year.
I don't remember what number that was. It was like 4?
I think it's like my 5th pick, maybe.
I think you're going to get like a 95 or something. I think this is going to be Elden Ring.
They've managed to find creative ways to, like, the knife fight.
Yeah.
We wondered, like, a few weeks ago how they're going to do it. It turns out they found a really cool way to do it. Mm-hmm. And it seems like every part of this game that we were like, I don't know if that's going to work with the new like, it is going to work.
It out. Like, the knife parrying looks really cool.
Yeah.
Like,
it looks... Yeah. It really looks awesome. I am...
Like, it's very recognizable, and I know everything I'm looking at, and then, like, when the new stuff pops up, I'm like, oh, that's a great idea.
Oh, yeah.
It's remarkable.
You're looking at hot people.
Like, those Resident Evil remakes are, like, man,
they're gold. They're doing a really good job. Justin Horman says it was my 5th pick. Yep, so I had it right. It looks amazing. I hope you guys are excited for it as I am.
No, I think that's going to end up being the best 5th pick of fantasy history.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah. Well, maybe. I don't know. I mean, some of our later picks in this draft, I mean, we both...
Yeah, you don't know. But, like, I honestly, I mean, I will be stunned if that game gets less than a 90.
I would say this, I would have hated myself if I didn't get the Resident Evil 4 remake. Mm-hmm. After I didn't get Zelda after drafting it for 3 years straight, I would have been really pissed off. So great. That was probably my highlight of the state of play, honestly. Next up, Street Fighter 6.
Not one of my 3.
No.
I mean, Street Fighter looks
cool. Getting to see Zangief for the first time.
I was more interested in the other 2.
Oh, really? Cammy
and Lily. Yeah. Cool.
I have a soft spot in my heart for Zangief. As a young kid...
Zangief's cool, but I'm never going to play. I'm not a grappling
I wasn't
character.
Either. I always wanted to be good with Zangief, and I never could get good with him. And when I would go into an arcade, and I would run into somebody who was good with Zangief, I would sit and watch them play until they lost. For whatever reason, I really love this character.
It's a fascinating character type. I'm interested. I'm not good with grapplers, but I was like you say, like... it was interesting, especially back in the day, and you'd watch like a Chun-Li or a Ryu player like just like plink away at this guy for like a whole match, and then 2 moves and you're done. Like you work that hard the whole match, and then if you get sloppy for 1 second, he opens you up, and that's the end of it.
Yeah.
So like it's an interesting character type. I'm just not any good with him.
I think he looks good.
He does.
I think they did a good job on him for this.
They all look good. Like is it Lily? Is that her name?
Lily's the third one. Cammy and Lily are
very interesting mechanics on her. I think again, they're doing a good job of putting characters in this game. The new characters are new. The new characters are like nothing we've ever seen in Street Fighter before.
Clones.
And I like that.
Yeah, me too.
I think that's really cool.
I'm starting to get really excited for this too, Matt.
Yeah, and Cammy looks amazing. I'm like, I mean, the Capcom knows how to tap into the horny when they need to, especially with this engine. I mean, you should see
how to tap
you
into
should
the horny.
see the thirst posts on Jill Valentine from Resident Evil 3 remake, and like Cammy is going to be the new thing. Cammy's going to set the fucking internet on fire.
That's funny. I am getting really excited for this game at this point. I'm there. I'm ready to play it now. And this was the final. These are the final 3 characters for the launch roster. So now the launch roster is pretty much set. We know all the characters that'll be there at launch. And then obviously that will begin the big DLC train that will inevitably run for the next 2 or 3 years afterwards.
Yeah. Like I really dig her. She's so different.
Yeah. She's unlike any other character from the series. Yeah. I agree with you. And borrowing some elements from some other older fighting games as well there. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. But like stuff that we haven't seen really in Street Fighter, which is cool.
Yeah,
I love that Cammy has discovered pants.
You're saying that they tapped into the horny, but I actually thought that they toned her down a little bit.
Oh, they toned down her outfit, but they did not tone down the ass.
Right? Yeah.
Like, come on.
Like she does that little butt cheeks are
she does that
out.
little stretch at one point, and like the whole everybody was watching, like the chat there, that thing, and the whole chat just went wow. Like, no, Capcom knows exactly what they're doing.
Oh, it does know what it's doing, absolutely. So I thought that was a good showing for Street Fighter 6, and that's coming not too long from now.
Oh, and I love that her move here is the thing from the old anime, that first anime movie they did where she assassinates the guy.
Oh, right.
Like she jumps up, spins around him, and breaks him in half. Like that's her counter move there.
Yeah, that's great.
Which is a great reference.
Yeah. This game's looking hot. I don't know if the single player is going to be all that awesome.
I'm curious about that, but like the rest of it like looks great.
Yeah. And that shot to your point about
oh yeah, they know what they're doing.
Yep.
They're like design this so we can sell all the swimsuit packs. That's basically what's happening there.
And then they shared the launch trailer for Destiny 2 Lightfall, which is available now. Maybe we'll talk about that on I haven't been back to Destiny in years.
I don't know. All I know is
like this is supposed to be like the big brouhaha.
Yeah, something like that. Well, what's it called? Is it Lightstorm?
Lightfall.
Lightfall.
Yeah.
It's weird that it uses almost the same font as the font from Lightyear.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. But this is supposed to be, and they also is free now. Destiny 2 is free right now if you're a PlayStation Plus subscriber, or it was last month or something. So they're setting everybody up to be able to consume the Lightfall DLC. But anyway, that's available now. Came out February 28th. Baldur's Gate 3.
Actually, no, Street Fighter was the second thing. Oh, okay. And now Baldur's Gate 3 is the third thing.
Okay.
Those are the 3 good things in this whole...
This was also good for my fantasy team.
Yes, because it confirms it's coming.
If the PlayStation 5 version is coming out on August 31st, then I'm damn sure the PC version is launching.
No, that's about where I thought that was going to happen.
So that was a big... for me, because I thought this was a big X factor, and I do think this game is going to score.
No, I think if you go back to that episode, I'm pretty sure I said August.
Yeah, you did actually. Yeah. And now it's coming to PlayStation 5 in August as well.
Which is great.
But not an Xbox version, right?
There is.
Not on that same day.
Not the same day. They don't know when because they're having trouble with it.
Yeah.
They were having trouble getting it to work, and the speculation is it's because of the Xbox Series S.
Yeah.
Because everything has to work on both, and I don't know how you cram this thing on the Series S without the lack of RAM on that thing.
But again, are you noticing a pattern with this state of play? It's all third party.
Yeah, well, they said it was going to be.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, it was supposed to be third party.
When are we going to start seeing like first party stuff for this year? We're in March now.
June.
It's really weird.
May or June.
Yeah, I mean, are they not going to release anything in the first half of the year from first party studios? I guess PSVR is like that's our thing.
Yeah, this is a big deal. They put out Horizon and PSVR, and they're putting Last of Us Part 1 on PC this month, and after that, we'll see. I mean,
I hope we'll see.
They're kind of letting Last of Us speak for itself for a while here, and I mean, presumably, I would think Factions will get.
How many more episodes are there?
2 more.
Oh, there's only 2 more. Oh, that makes me sad.
9 episodes.
That makes me really
Weirdly, weirdly, the last episode drops during the Oscars.
Really?
And like people are like, "Oh, are they going to move it like they moved for the Super Bowl?" I'm like, "Man, I think the Oscars might need to move."
Yeah, because
like,
let's be honest,
way more people are going to watch Last of Us. Come on,
true. It's
like I got people that are like, "I'm going to stop watching the Oscars and switch to," and I'm kind of like, "Yeah, I mean, one of the main awards I want to see is supporting actor to see Key win."
Yeah,
and like, that's the first award.
Yeah.
So I'm going to see that.
And then probably you could watch The Last of Us and then come back to the Oscars to watch the big awards at the end. Yeah. It might all work out perfectly.
And also, it's going to be everything everywhere all at once. Just saying, like it's won the producer.
Which I still haven't seen.
It's won the Producers Guild. It's won the Directors Guild. It won the SAG Award. Like it's a favorite. I know like, everyone's like, oh, the Golden Globes. It was the Fabelmans. Like Golden Globes isn't as defining anymore as the guilds are. So.
Speaking of movies, on the flight back from Pennsylvania, I watched Halloween Ends. And I will say this. For the first, hour, I was like, this isn't really as bad as people said it was. It wasn't good, but it wasn't, abysmal. And then I got to the end. Quite possibly the worst ending of a movie I've ever seen. And consequently, not just the ending of the movie, pretty much the ending of the franchise.
Oh,
Have you seen it? No. Do you know how it ends?
I don't remember. I think I did read about that, but I don't remember.
Oh, my God. Wow. I always, again, the consulting agency, Red Flag consulting agency, should have talked to us before they made Halloween Ends. It's just...
how about the Crimson Pennant?
What's that?
Red Flag.
Oh.
The Crimson Pennant.
Oh, that's not bad.
Crimson Pennant.
It's like subterfuge.
Yeah.
They won't know that we're...
Right.
That's great. And then the final big game that was shown at the State of Play is... Naruto Cross Boruto Ultimate Ninja Storm Connections. Coming in 2023 to PlayStation, Xbox, and Switch, and PC.
Yeah, you're going to need to go to another podcast for insight on this one. This is not my thing.
Was basically just combining all of the prior stuff into one game.
Yeah.
They've run out of material, so now they're like, you know what? We're just going to crunch down.
Put the whole saga in one game. I mean, that's cool. I
guess.
I mean, if you're a fan, I assume you appreciate having everything in one place like that.
Yeah. But it's like you've expected us to buy 5 of these games already. And now you're just going to put everything into one game? I don't know.
I mean, it works for Star Wars.
Yeah, actually.
Repackage all that shit in the same box and call it a day. Call it a saga, and there you go. Yeah,
this is coming out this year. Again, it's pretty much coming to everything. Shocker. Any anime game almost always comes to every platform. And it is coming to Switch, which a lot of
I'm always impressed by how good it looks. It looks so much like the actual
It really
anime.
Does, yeah.
I just
don't care.
I don't care. I tried to play some of the Naruto stuff, and I just don't understand what the hell's happening.
I don't care. And then the rest of it, as I mentioned earlier, they did debut several PlayStation VR2 games. However, they were all from indie studios. And then the rest of the games were also all from indie studios.
Yeah, it was Humanity. That was interesting.
I don't remember that one, actually.
Yeah, Humanity was all guiding the tons of people down the road.
Oh, right. Yep. There was a lot. I'm not saying there wasn't some cool stuff in there.
For some reason in my head, I thought Humanity was about cavemen. But apparently not. It's like a puzzle game about leading dumb people to not die being attacked by Sith or something.
Yeah. There was a Western roguelike.
Yeah, Shadow People.
Foglands for PlayStation VR2. Green Hell for PlayStation VR2. That's been a 2D game already. What else was there? Humanity, as you mentioned. Journey to Foundation was another PSVR2 game. I don't even know how to pronounce this one. Chia, I guess is how you say it.
Chia. Yeah.
Another PSVR2 game called Before Your Eyes. They shared
Before Your Eyes. It was already on other platforms.
Yeah.
That one's cool. That's the one that time jumps ahead every time you blink.
Oh, right.
Certain sections.
That's right. Yep.
Which I will get that for PSVR too, because I would gotten it for Vive, but I would have to do minor construction in my office to put the lighthouse stations up, and I don't want to do that because I don't use it enough.
And then the release date for Goodbye Volcano High was announced for June, and then a game called Wayfinder was profiled as well, but for the most part, the rest of the show is pretty much a wash. What letter grade do you give this State of Play, Matt?
Oh, I'd give this a D. It's awful.
I'd give it a D as well.
It's awful.
It was certainly not worthy of the excitement
props
that
to
was in my
Capcom.
heart for it before it happened.
Props to Capcom for showing their stuff.
I mean, Capcom. It was basically a Capcom press conference.
Capcom and Baldur's Gate. That was Capcom strutted its stuff, and Baldur's Gate gave us a release date. And other than that,
That's pretty much it.
Get out.
Yeah. Hopefully the next one's better, and hopefully the next one shows some first-party stuff. I mean, Matt, we're ready to see Spider-Man.
Yeah, I think it's about time.
Do you realize all we have right now is a teaser trailer with 18 seconds of footage? Mm-hmm. That's it. And that game's coming out this year.
Yep.
So that's due.
And presumably there's a couple other things coming too.
I mean,
somewhere.
The multiplayer, The Last of Us game should be shown anytime now. Like, there's a bunch of stuff. So hopefully the next State of Play is much better. I agree with you. D, even maybe a D- for me. It was one of the worst State of Plays.
I could go with a D-.
I mean, it doesn't help either that, RE4 looked great in this, but you have Game Informer blowing the thing out day after day.
Yeah, it's not even the best way to experience Resident Evil 4 right now.
It was not good. So hopefully the next one is better. Let's move on. We're going to talk, this is really a Sony-heavy show, because the next topic is a PlayStation, kind of a PlayStation 5 exclusive, and that is Final Fantasy XVI. We did get some information about the PC version. There is a PC version coming. However, the PC version will not be ready by the time the exclusivity period runs out on PlayStation 5. So Sony has paid for a 6-month exclusivity period for Final Fantasy XVI, and they will not have the PC version ready by the time that expires. So it will end up being exclusive for longer than that. Mm-hmm. And who knows when or if it will come to Xbox. My guess is it will.
Probably. I mean, I think eventually.
They're not talking about it yet?
But by the time it comes to Xbox, like, no one will care, really. Right. Or it'll be like what 15 did, where it was like, we gathered all the DLC in one place, and it's called some special edition, or whatever. But really, you already have it anyway.
Well, what happened this week is that Square Enix released 45 minutes of B-roll from the game. Clean, crisp, clear 4K footage that they just sent out to everybody that you could do whatever you wanted with. Now, they did have an event in New York where people did get to play it, but they ultimately ended up supplying the B-roll for people to do their coverage, and we're going to share that with you right now. I've chopped it down to like 18 minutes, so I've really just simmered this down to the essence, because it really was raw B-roll. There was just running through empty hallways and stuff like that. So I've chopped out all kind of the repetitive stuff just to show you guys the good stuff. But most importantly, a ton of new information about this game is shared in this B-roll. And also Square Enix sent out sort of a press release that detailed a lot of the information. First of all, there's going to be a demo for this game 2 weeks before launch that includes the first 2 hours of the game. It will carry over to the final game. Everyone's going to be losing their minds over that. They also shared that the game includes over 11 hours of cinematics. 11 hours, Matt, of cinematics. That's insane.
I can only say I'm glad it's being written by the woman who did the good stuff in 14.
Yeah.
I have to keep reminding myself this is not the people that did 7 Remake.
Well, look, I'm going to tell you right now,
all this crap.
I think this game looks awesome.
Does look good.
So this whole focus was all about the combat. And the reason it's all about the combat is because they've brought the combat designer from Devil May Cry over to handle the combat for this game. And this whole press event, 45 minutes of B-roll, was all just to preview the combat and how the combat works in the game. One important thing to remember, this game is not open world. It is very linear. And as you watch this B-roll, because again, it hardly cut at all, it is a linear cattle chute designed game with some paths here and there you can go down with some chests at the end of them. But for the most part, it's like God of War or any of the other kind of semi-throwback games that we've been getting lately. That doesn't bother me that much, Matt, because the last Final Fantasy did a terrible job with the open world.
Yeah, that's true. And I mean, I do understand. I understand why the director, whoever it was talking about how he doesn't like it being called a JRPG.
Because there's certain
certain tropes, but also like this isn't what people mean by that anymore. Really. Right? It used to just mean a console RPG.
Right. Now it means like turn-based RPG.
Yeah, you're talking about like the Atelier series or like Tales of Cold Steel, Trails of Cold Steel, that kind of thing. Yep. Square doesn't really make those anymore. I mean, even Final Fantasy VII Remake is hard to call a JRPG. I mean, that's an action RPG. To me, like. This thing almost, you're almost like looking at like a character action game with like hit points.
This early footage is very dark. So I understand if you're watching a stream, you're like, I can't see anything. You're not alone. For whatever reason, they decided to put out this footage where everything is in this dark castle. It's really weird.
Not the brightest stuff.
So maybe on the archive you'll be able to see it a little bit.
Even though, like,
better.
if you look at the HUD, it looks like the color balance is correct. Yeah. But, like, it's just really dark.
Yeah. It's just this part of the game. The whole game doesn't look like this, obviously.
But, so like, it's... Yeah, like I mean, look, the biggest weakness they've had is like as they've been trying to move into this more action-oriented system, like,
and they fail,
and they keep failing because they don't. The combat sucks, and like bringing in the Devil May Cry guy is probably the best thing you could do there.
One thing I will say is it appears that the enemies in this game, every enemy in this game, is a damage sponge.
Yeah,
you have to lay into them for like 2 minutes to kill even the rank and file guys.
Well, if you look, it's the same. It's the usual Square thing where you got to basically break their defense, and then
suddenly they fall down to a knee,
and then suddenly they start taking more damage, and it's like yes, we know.
There is nuance to it, though. And just for a quick synopsis of the plot, if you guys haven't been paying attention to the game, you play as Clive. He's the main protagonist.
Clyde.
Clive.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was going to say, Clyde was already taken by, I think, Star Ocean at some point.
Yeah. And basically what happens is he has a brother, and his kingdom comes under attack, and his younger brother is killed. So it's all about revenge. He's trying to figure out who killed his brother. He's on the hunt for vengeance, blah, blah, blah. Now, in the midst of all that, the world of Final Fantasy XVI is ruled by what we used to call summons. Now they're called icons, and they're not just like a magic spell that you use after you've built up a meter like they used to be. They're a part of the plot in this game. Like, they are certain summons are owned by certain kingdoms, and some kingdoms just keep them in reserve in case they need them, in case they're attacked. Other people are using them for nefarious means, and so that's sort of the political intrigue that you navigate throughout the course of the game. As I said, this is really all about combat, and this, at least this preview that they've supplied, and so we're going to go into a lot of detail about that, but I think it's something that you guys are interested in. Because the summons or the icons are a bigger part of this, the game does have a Clash of Titans sort of bent to it, or Attack on Titan angle to it. Because, so you fight like you've been seeing in these clips that you're seeing so far in this B-roll, but eventually, and again, you'll see it at the end of the B-roll, much like Bayonetta 3, there are sections of this game where you're fighting kaiju against kaiju. Basically, summon against summon. So Ifrit versus, like, Garuda or whatever. And there, again,
there was a little bit, they head faked in that direction in 15.
They did.
And there's nothing really came
a little
of
bit.
it.
Well, in 15, it's like...
It wasn't really part of the gameplay. It was just some of the cutscene, like Leviathan showed up.
Yeah, the summon just showed up out of nowhere. So
yeah, I never understood how the summons worked in that game.
They didn't really. It just kind of happened on accident.
Popped up once in a while.
I didn't feel like I ever controlled them.
The game was so weird.
Although it did seem like when I needed them, they just showed up.
No, I don't know.
There's no way I'm going to win this fight, and then one of them would just drop out of the sky. Like,
I don't know if they changed that at all when they updated, because I know like
maybe.
I know that the game as it exists now is very different from what we played when it came out.
Yeah,
but I'll never know because I'm not going back to play that piece of shit again.
Yep. But as
this looks really good though.
Yeah, but as I said, all the combat in this is handled by Devil May Cry stalwart Ryoto Suzuki. He redesigned all the combat for this game. The magic system channels.
Finally, he beat chaos.
Yeah. So the summons or the icons play out in different ways inside this game as well. You can't see it because of graphics there. Let me just take it away for just a second. So if you see in the bottom left there, if you hold the left trigger, that's how you select the powers that you want to use from the summons. So in this B-roll, this demo, there were 3 different icons that you had control of. There's like a wind guy, a fire guy, and a titan, which is like
one thing I will note, and I don't know why. I hate the font they use for the pop-up.
They use it in every Final
Fantasy. In all
Fantasy.
their Final Fantasy, yeah. I don't like that font
either.
for some reason.
Why they chose it. It's interesting that you...
And they've been doing that since like 12 or 13 or so. I don't know why that font annoys me, but it does.
Yeah. So anyway, in this demo, you could channel the powers of 3 different icons. There's the fire-focused Phoenix, there's the earth magic of the Titan, and then the wind magic of Garuda. And a big part of being good at the combat in this is cycling through the icons. So you attack with the fire, and they're all on cooldown. So you need to figure out, like, for example, I think the Titan is the longest cooldown. So he's probably the guy that you want to start off with, because by the time you get through the other 2, he probably will be cooled down enough to use them again. So there's that rhythm to the game of, like, kind of subconsciously learning how long it takes each of the icons to cool down, but you want to keep swapping through all this, and you can see in this B-roll, though right now he's using wind, next he'll probably use fire, and then he'll finish off with the earth magic of the Titan or whatever. So it, again, in addition to action-based combat, there's also this element of magic that keeps things interesting throughout the entire game. Another thing, rather than there being difficulty settings in the game, there's a collection of 5 assist rings that you can enable that make it easier. They do things like enable automatic dodges, Combos with a single button. A lot of fighting games have been doing that lately, where, you know, if you don't want to learn how to do the combos by hand, you can just press one button and fire off like a combo on your own. This game is going to have that as well. You can slow down time, you can extend the dodge window, or you can automatically issue commands to your new dog sidekick named Torgal. So Torgal looks exactly like the wolf from Zelda. Like, literally, I don't know if it's an homage or it's intentional, but it is blatantly like the same exact dog. Don't you think that's
like
weird?
From like Twilight Princess?
Yeah. He looks exactly like him. And in this game, you can choose. You can either control him manually, and he can either attack enemies or he can heal you. He can heal Clive. Or you can enable one of those 5 rings, and the dog will just do his thing all on its own. So he will heal you all on his own. He'll attack enemies all on his own. But again, that's one of the rings. Now, the thing about the rings is every ring that you enable keeps you from equipping accessories that give you buffs and other abilities. So it's this kind of tug of war. Like, how much assistance do you want? Because if you take the assistance, you're taking away some offensive firepower from another part of the combat mechanics. So there's a nice little like tug of war there between how you want to play the game. What else is there? So I talked about the kaiju battles. And you're put in direct control of the icon or the summon. And it turns into this crazy like kaiju fight, straight out of Bayonetta 3. And now, in Bayonetta 3, they were kind of clunky and awkward. They were fun the first couple of times you did it. But after a while, I thought they kind of got annoying. Mm-hmm. It looks like this is kind of the same thing, Matt. Like,
it's very rare that the giant monster thing maintains.
Yeah,
in games.
Even like those old. Remember those Godzilla games from the GameCube that became hits somehow?
Yeah, like the kind of the fighting game arena things.
Like I never understood why people liked those. I would play like 2 matches and I was just like, ugh.
Because they're Godzilla.
I guess. That's it. Because we all needed even an average.
You remember
Godzilla
that PS4? Yeah, that PS4 Godzilla game, which was like, you know, it wasn't good.
Yeah.
But like I played it for like 40 hours because it was Godzilla. Like it's all we got. You know, like we were talking about the Harry Potter thing. Like it's all we had.
Yeah.
Like it's the way to experience that IP, and I took it.
Yeah.
And now that Godzilla game's worth like $800.
What?
Because it went out of print because the license ended. So a physical copy of that game is hundreds of dollars now. I got it digitally because I couldn't find it physically. And I was like, well, I should have tracked down a disc of that fucker.
That's crazy. So you may have noticed in this B-roll as well that some of the boss fights have QuickTime events where the camera shifts and you input commands. But what Square Enix has said about those is that they're not... You can see also in the footage, you have a huge window to put the command in.
It's taking forever.
Square Enix is like, look, we're not putting these in here to like trick you or make you fail them. Mm-hmm. We're putting these in here so we can give you that cinematic Final Fantasy experience that you want. And it works. I mean, it does create a lot of more drama in the fights, allowing to kind of shift the camera angles and zoom the cameras on certain elements. But they're not like a huge part of the game as far as like, oh, you failed it, now you got to start over. They don't expect you to fail them. They're giving you a wide window to complete the inputs. And a lot of times it's just one input anyway. So it doesn't look like it's going to be all that complicated. It is interesting, though, that QuickTime events just never go away, Matt. Mm-hmm. I really thought it was one of those things that eventually we would not be experiencing in games anymore, but developers have not figured out a way to like circumvent them still.
Well, I don't think they're trying to. I think they like how they work.
Yeah.
Like they're a feature, not a bug.
Yep.
The one thing Shenmue gave us.
I know, that is endured across all... There's a couple things it gave us that have endured.
Yeah, but like that's the main
one
result in terms of game design.
Yeah, for sure.
Hell, we still use the name.
Yeah.
It's not like we could call anything else a free game, full reactivized entertainment.
That's right, yeah.
But we still call them QuickTime events.
Yep, that's absolutely true. As we said, so the kaiju battles, you only have like 4 commands when you're fighting the big monsters against each other.
So that's kind of why the big monster stuff is not
lame.
Amazing.
It never works, yeah. I do think some Final Fantasy fans will like the ability of just taking total control over a summon, though. The novelty will be there, I think, at first. We'll see if it
I always wanted to see, like for the giant monster stuff, I always thought it would be more interesting to do... have you heard of... it's a game called Your Only Move is Hustle?
No.
It's an indie game. Came out a few weeks ago. But basically, it's sort of like a turn-based brawl with like very simple characters. Mm-hmm. But you have to like... plot out your moves ahead of time, and then it sort of plays out how everybody picked their moves, and if it works. So like, I think
kind of clever.
I think a more reactive way to do like a giant monster thing might be because instead of pressing the button and then they have to take forever to swing their tail around because they're a big monster. What if you just sort of essentially you buffered your plan of what to do, and then it just sort of it did or did not survive contact with the enemy, you know? So like you're kind of planning that, like, because that happens in the. I mean, those fights in movies are basically like wrestling, right? It's like, oh, they're gonna do this, but oh no, it's been reversed, and Godzilla's on his back now, and the sludge. Like I think you could do some kind of thing where you're like, I'm gonna have him do this and this, and then move him here and do this, and then you let it play out, and then you have to kind of respond as it happens.
Yeah,
it would be a little more weirdly. You make it more strategic, and I think it would feel more like the real thing.
Yeah, I'd agree. Now, you probably may have noticed there, after you defeat Garuda, now you have the wind magic. So you have to actually defeat these icons first before you can take on their magical powers that are then again mapped to the left trigger.
I will say I'm a little, he's like level 15 in this. Like, the one thing I am a little concerned about is how, like, this thing seems to, like, sit at a 10 of intensity and never change. Like it's like a Michael Bay movie. It's just like everything's just constantly.
But Matt, again, here. I chopped out.
You did chop it out, but if this is already happening at this scale at level 15, you're like, where do you go? From here.
But look, again, it was 45 minutes of footage that I chopped down to 20.
Right.
So I chopped down a lot.
But I'm just saying, if this is happening when he's level 15, are we going to be throwing planets at each other by like level 70?
Like okay, I get
where is left to go from?
I think they said this is also like 5 or 6 hours into the game. They pulled this part out.
That's so not far.
You're right, man. Like by the time you get to hour 30, what the hell's going to be happening? I mean, it's pretty exciting if you ask me.
I mean, that's just Godzilla right there.
Yeah.
Ifrit is just that close up of the face. That's Godzilla.
It is. Yeah. Now there's the wolf. I mean, it even has
it does look
the
like
feet
him.
Shoes like the wolf.
Yeah, he's got the socks.
Yeah. It's bizarre. Like again, I don't know if it's an homage. I don't know.
I mean, there's no way you make that and not know what you're. I mean, everybody knows that wolf.
Yeah.
So,
in this B-roll, you are accompanied by Sudolphus Taloman.
It is still weird that they're wearing like leather. I mean, they still look a little too rock and roll.
Yeah, a little bit.
Times.
Yeah, I hear you. But there he is, right there. So you never control your party members in this, Matt. It's all controlled by AI. So that was one thing we wondered all along. As it turns out, that is the case. Yeah, the only thing you really have control over is the dog.
Yeah, I mean, I don't.
But they come along and fight with you.
I don't really see a way around that.
Yeah.
If you're going to do the combat system this way.
Now they do come along and fight with you, but you don't control what they do. They're all controlled by the AI.
And if you're going to do a combat system that has the complexity of something like Devil May Cry, it's not like Final Fantasy VII where you can design that level of complexity for every character.
Yep.
So you're kind of stuck with a main character at that point.
This game takes place over decades of time. So Clive, over time, apparently is going to change. I don't know if he's actually going to age visibly. But they said that you should expect to see massive changes in Clive across the course of the game. So who knows what that actually means? We'll see.
I will say that the kaiju fight looks a little better than your average game kaiju fight because it looks like they're actually interacting with each other.
Yeah,
like he's grabbing the thing and slamming it to the ground, and like the impacts are actually making sense, like what's happening. Whereas like a lot, it's just like it's just, even Bayonetta does the thing where it's just like, oh, they're just slash, and there's nothing particularly special about the interaction.
I agree. The other thing about the icons is that not only do you get like their elemental magic, that some of them have extra abilities. Like the Garuda, he's the wind magic guy, but he also gives you juggles and allows you to pull enemies towards you. And then Titan provides heavy attacks, but sometimes you have to charge them up by holding the button in, so there's always that risk-reward thing there with that. But again, if you do land those are some of the most devastating attacks in the game. And Square Enix said that choosing which icons to equip for each situation will be one of the key strategic parts of the game as far as the thinking through the combat. And then Clive's melee abilities have their own upgrade tree, in addition to upgrades for all the icons. The upgrade tree in this, each one isn't that intense, but there's a lot of them. Because, again, there's one for each summon. So you can level them up, and again, you can level up Clyde, and you can choose those abilities if you want to, and the rings, and the accessories. So there are heavy RPG elements in this, even if this B-roll doesn't seem like there is. And they're scanning that. And that's pretty much it. That's the combat system in Final Fantasy XVI that was blown out by Square Enix this week. Matt, how do you feel about this after learning all this new information?
I mean, it looks cool, but I've been burned by Square Enix real-time combat systems before a number of times. We'll see.
I mean, I think it's
I'm a little I'm a little tired of the damage sponge thing.
Yeah, and it's bad. I mean, if you watch this B-roll, look at how many times, even the rank and file guys, he still have to break them, and then they go to one knee, and then he unloads for like 30 seconds, and then they get back up and fight more. So I agree with you. I'm not a big fan of that style of sort of enemy damage, where you just have to unload on them for like 5 minutes to defeat each one. But maybe as you get better through the course of the game, you can start mopping them up a little more quickly. Again, this footage was taken from a pretty early part of the game. 5 hours, my guess, first 10% of the game, ultimately. So, and now they did say, too, one thing to keep in mind is, the footage, the B-roll that Square Enix sent out, kept flashing up this message on it that said, game may change, special version for B-roll, game may change, like during a lot of the cutscenes. But also, Square Enix said that a lot of the abilities that you're seeing in this, you won't actually have them all at the 5-hour mark. They gave them to you so you could see them, and so the press could try them in New York. But when you really get to the 5-hour mark of this game, you won't necessarily have 3 summons or icon abilities at that point. So they are fudging it a little bit for the purpose of showing people how the combat actually works. So I said during our preview episodes that I thought Final Fantasy XVI was going to be the game that surprised everybody this year, that people aren't that excited about it, and they should be getting excited about it. I still stand behind that comment. I still think this game is going to be, maybe, at least for me, the best Final Fantasy ever, because I am not tied to the turn-based combat of the old Final Fantasy games. I am completely open to having real-time combat that works for this franchise instead of having to go back and just do turn-based, because that's what Final Fantasy is. So I'm hoping they made a great hire for this. They brought in the right guy to make all the changes that they need to make. Hopefully the execution ultimately bears it out. I do hear you, though. The damage sponge stuff does bother me a little bit. It's a little concerning. Yeah, but otherwise, I think it looks pretty damn good.
I don't know about ever, but like maybe the first one I've liked since 12.
Yeah.
Which I thought would be 18 because it's every 6.
Right. Maybe they're going to skip too early.
You're going to get too early here.
Yeah.
Two games early, they're going to make one I like.
Yep.
Who knows?
But I don't know if you guys maybe have any questions about this. Sneaky says, did you see the Final Fantasy VII Power Washer DLC that came out? I did not.
Yeah. You watched Cloud's bike.
Yeah. Andy T. Monahan, getting vibes of the MGS4 Rex versus Ray battle. A little bit.
Yeah, I see that.
I can see where you'd say that. Barry Lomax, this looks cool. I also think it looks cool. I wish the footage wasn't so dark. It's hard to see what's going on in a lot of that footage. But I think if you look at the documentation that Square Enix has sent out, it paints a clearer picture, oddly enough, than the actual footage does, which is a little weird. But anyway, Final Fantasy XVI, PlayStation 5 exclusive for at least 6 months. Chances are probably a year.
Probably longer, yeah.
It looks like it's going to be about a year. And then PC comes, and then who knows with Xbox. It could be even maybe they signed a deal where, okay, you can release it for PC. We'll give you this money. You can release it for PC in 6 months, but you can't release it for Xbox for a year. Who knows? But so far we just know about the PC stuff, and that is 6 months. So if you don't have a PS5 and you love Final Fantasy, it might be time to get shopping. Okay, next up. We're going to talk about another JRPG, one that Matt has been playing and I have been playing, and that is Octopath Traveler 2. Unlike the first Octopath Traveler, this game is not a Nintendo exclusive. This game is available for PC, Switch, PS4, and PS5. Surprising there's no Xbox version. I'm not sure why this is happening. It seems to be happening a lot more with Japanese games than we thought.
Yeah, maybe eventually, but I don't know.
Seems weird, don't you think?
Xbox isn't very important there.
I mean, it's dead in Japan, but they also know that in the West it's not dead and it's doing very well. But maybe they're afraid that people don't buy games for Xbox anymore.
I mean, if you have limited resources, those are the versions you cut, I think.
Man, if they're like, look, I can't even imagine how much money they'd have to give to, get something like Final Fantasy 16 on Game Pass. Like, it's not going to happen.
No, yeah.
So I don't know. It's looking a little funky with the third-party stuff on Xbox.
Yeah. I would be surprised if this didn't come to Xbox eventually.
Me too.
Because the first one did.
Yeah.
First one's on everything now too.
It does feel a little bit like the vibes that I'm getting is like it's Game Pass or bust with Xbox anymore. Which makes sense. I mean, that's what Microsoft is trying to push. So, but then getting third parties to release games for your platform becomes a little more difficult, or at least makes them delayed or whatever. Yeah, well, it's going to be lower priority.
My guess is that you got your initial release and your initial sales here, and maybe 6 months to a year later, you'll get an Xbox version. It goes up on Game Pass. You get the money from Microsoft. There you go.
Yeah.
Like, there's a plan there, I think.
Maybe.
That's what they did. That's what they did with the first one.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. So Octopath Traveler 2 coming after Octopath Traveler 1, which I believe was 2019.
Yeah, that sounds right.
So like right before all hell broke loose with COVID and the pandemic. And here we are coming out of the pandemic, and we got another Octopath Traveler. Now, I would say this. I was just mentioning earlier that I'm not tied to the turn-based combat for Final Fantasy. This is kind of like maybe what Final Fantasy would have become if it had stayed turn-based.
Yeah.
Because the turn-based combat in this isn't just rank-and-file turn-based combat. It is unique.
It's more like the Saga games.
That's a good way to put it.
It's a lot of these HD 2D games sort of take more cues from stuff like the Saga series and the Romancing series. So like I see that there, but it does use the same sort of use the thing to break the enemy, then you do more damage and unload on them.
Find the right weapon to break the enemy, then unload.
And it makes the combat more of a puzzle than anything else, because you're like trying to figure out how to break everything at the same time, so you don't have to like get hit by anything.
Yeah, I mean, really, at least what I try to do in this every battle is try to not get hit.
Yeah,
and generally, there's usually a way to do it.
Yeah, once you've got enough characters in play, like and a wide variety of ways to hit.
Yeah.
Usually is.
Now, there's 8 different playable characters in this. When you start the game, you choose one, and then basically you play as that character, and you go around the world and you find new characters to add to your party. When you find that character, you have a choice. You can choose to go back and play that character's first chapter, or you can just choose to ignore it, continue with your main character, and then when you want and need, and you do eventually need, to play that character's chapter 1, you can go to a tavern, and there's a menu there, and you can just select it from a menu and go back and play that chapter 1 of any of the characters that you come across. Which character did you end up choosing for your main?
I picked Throne.
Okay.
The thief.
Okay.
And which is interesting.
I have not played that story yet. How is the story?
It's good. I think all this. I have played 6 of the 8 chapter 1s. So okay. I got out of her thing and I went up north and got Oswald.
Wow, you got Oswald second.
Yeah, because I wanted his.
I got him 5th.
I wanted his ability to automatically get people's enemies' weaknesses when it starts the battle.
Yeah, it's helpful. Yeah,
but I liked Throne has a if you're fighting at night, she automatically like puts debuffs on the enemies when the fight starts.
That's a new feature in this, by the way.
Yeah.
The differences between day and night.
Yeah, day and night is a new thing, and like. So basically I finished her thing, and then I realized that her second chapter is like you're supposed to be at like level 14, and I'm like, I'm a ways away from that. So I've been just wandering the world picking up all the characters.
I did that for a little bit.
I'm 9 hours in, and I have 2 more left to do.
Here's the thing: you can find those characters, but you can get your ass in way over your head in this game, like.
Yeah, but you got to definitely pay attention to the level of an area.
And then sometimes it doesn't even really matter. Like, you can be in an area that's, like, say, like, level 8 danger or whatever, and you'll just randomly get attacked by an enemy that's just one-hit shot your whole party. And there's no way to avoid random encounters in this game either. There's no icon on the map telling you that an enemy's going to be there.
Oswald does have an ability that lowers random encounters.
Oh, he does? That would be very helpful, actually, because that has become, to me, really effing annoying, Matt. Like, just playing through an area and basically just wiping the map with everybody you fight, and then all of a sudden this like abominable snowman just pops up and just wipes out your whole party. Now I'll say this too, the save system in this is pretty generous. Like, you don't have to manual save. It does like automatically save at certain things that you do. So if you do get caught off guard and just wiped out by an abominable snowman, so to speak, like, it doesn't send you back that far.
Yeah, you're usually losing like 5 minutes at most.
Yeah, but still, you're losing 5 minutes.
Yeah, and I mean, these games are. The last one was hard too at times, especially early on.
It's not even hard; it's just cheap.
Well, I've never run into that. What you're describing?
Really, you haven't been wiped out by a random enemy yet?
No, I've been wiped out.
Oh, it's gonna happen.
I've been wiped out by bosses. Well, not at this point. I'm too powerful.
Oh, it'll happen.
Because
I guarantee it. Like, it just happened to me last night. I was level 15. It doesn't matter what your level is. Another enemy will show up. The other thing too is like you don't really know the level of enemies in this. You don't know the levels. You don't know how close they are to dying.
Well, you do. Yeah, you do.
How?
Well, you know the levels because every time you enter a new area, it says what level the area is.
No, but I'm telling you, there's monsters that are not at that level that will just show up that are like twice the level.
I've never run into that.
It happens for sure.
And you know how close they are to death by their names. They change color.
Is that how?
Yeah. When you go to attack, you pick your enemy to attack.
Yeah.
Their names are white, yellow or red, and the red enemy is about to die.
Yeah, but you don't know like how many.
You
hit
don't know
points they have
exactly,
left.
but
Yeah.
you have an idea. And like the other way to check is if you have the Beastling girl, whose name I can't remember.
Beastling girl. I don't think I have her at all.
She's on the island in the southeast.
It's not the dancing girl, is it?
No, her name. She has
Which that story, by the way, is dumb AF.
I haven't done that. She's one of the two. I haven't done her. I haven't gotten her or the samurai guy yet.
The samurai is my main, and his story is amazing. It's really good.
Most of them are good. The Beast Girl isn't amazing.
The dancing girl,
but
bad.
Beast. So the Beast
she just wants to be a big star in a big city. That's the whole
there was a
story.
dancer in the first one. It was the same thing.
It's the same
really.
thing. Yeah.
The Beast Girl is basically playing Pokemon. She can capture enemies if their life gets low enough,
And she can use them.
and then she can summon them as attacks. So and then all the different, and almost any enemy that isn't a boss or a story related character you can capture. And they all have different attack powers and different attack types. So she can, theoretically, if you capture the right team, she can do almost any kind of damage you can think of. And so after
handy.
once you're doing that, you will become a lot better at knowing how low in health they are, both because you'll be paying attention to the color of the names, and because when she does her beast capture, if you highlight an enemy, it'll tell you the percentage chance of capturing them.
Oh.
And so the higher, obviously, if you're at 100%, they've probably got one hit left, and one good hit. And she does get an ability that actually unleashes her bow, and like if it would kill the enemy, it leaves them with one hit point.
Oh,
so you don't kill them, you can capture them.
Gotcha.
So yeah, it's fun. It is interesting to me, more so than the first game, how much of an important role almost every character plays when you put them in them. You only have 4 out at once, but like I don't think I'd want to play this game early on without Oswald, because he's constantly divining weaknesses from the enemies you run into. And if you've seen an enemy before, he does one weakness for every enemy you encounter. And then if you encounter the same enemy type later, and he uncovers 2 weaknesses that time. So 3 encounters with your average enemy, and Oswald will tell you all of their weaknesses. Yeah. And then he's got the group magic spells,
and that is key to this game. Like when you fight an enemy, you'll see it has like a little list of icons right next to them.
Yeah,
that's what they're weak against. And it makes a world of difference.
The other thing to know is if you're not using Oswald or you're working with the icons are always in the same order.
Yeah.
So like if you get like if
you know what's in the middle,
it's always the same different types of weapons, and then the magic elemental types. So if the first box on an enemy is like ice, all their weaknesses are magic. Yeah. Because the weapons always come first. Yeah, yeah. So there's a little bit of a puzzle there.
Discern basically what their other weaknesses are based upon what's shown. Yeah, so I'm playing as a samurai. The story's great.
And you are stuck with that first character you pick until you finish like a good chunk of their story, maybe all of it. I don't know.
All of it, yeah.
So like Throne is in my party whether I like it or not until the end. Everyone else I can swap out however I want.
And I mean the thing is you can only have 4 people in your party, but I will say this, once you bring someone into your party, they level up fast. Yeah. Like they can start at level 1 or whatever, and within like an hour, they're pretty close to like the rest of the party.
Yeah, they catch up pretty good. I will say I think it's probably better to, early on when you go around picking up all your characters, pick up, decide on who your 4 are. Yeah. And sort of go through that way. Yeah. Because otherwise you're going to have to keep rotating people out to keep them competitive, and it's just not going to work very well.
I also stumbled across some issues with the way this game is designed, meaning like the game never is going to know exactly what characters you have with you. I have fought through an entire dungeon before and got to the final boss room, and the boss wasn't there because I hadn't done something else somewhere else with a specific character that triggered that boss to appear. It was just an empty room, and I had to go all the way back out, and I was like that sucks.
You just basically done a random dungeon.
Pretty much. Yeah. Yeah. So there's drawbacks to this type of design, but generally it does give you enough freedom to kind of form the party that you want. And again, because you can level up your characters pretty quickly, if you do stumble across someone that you really like, it doesn't take that long to make them a viable part of your party. So I feel like it does do that part of it pretty well. As you've seen in this B-roll, the visuals, even better than they were in the first game, by a wide margin.
They're doing some really cool stuff with it. Like the depth of field tricks in this are really smart.
You
really
never know.
Cool.
The next screen could blow your mind. Like it's just the way the game is. It's like some little village, and the way it's lit, and like it's a stunner. Like it is the
they get tons of tone and mood visually out of what you would think is almost nothing.
It's really crazy. It's really impressive how they do.
Definitely the best use of this like kind of art style they've come up with.
Yep. And then another part of the game is you can boost your attacks. So you can boost them up to 4 levels. And so that's a risk-reward thing. You can be like, okay, what I tend to do, Matt, is I test the enemies. I just use my first attack, one attack with a weapon to see what they're weak against. The second round, when I come back around, then I'll start boosting my attacks because then I know what they're weak against. And then actually doing the damage is worth it. Now, you can boost your attacks for your normal attacks, but also for all your other special attacks as well. And so some of your bigger spells, your skills, and your abilities go crazy once you boost them up to like level 4 or whatever. And the game does a great job of portraying that too. Like, when you've boosted up to level 4 and you're about to press that button, that it is going to lay the smack down because of just the visual feedback that they put onto the screen. Again, they just, as you said, they do a great job in this game of conveying detailed information with very simple cues. And there aren't many games that do that. Most games just go over the top, and they're like, "We're just going to be bombastic, and that's how we're going to make our hay."
This is a throwback to the old way they used to. It plays out like an epic novel. It it's much more. It's a little more subdued. It's not as over the top. Like the characters are sort of all want what they want, and like kind of they're sort of in this world and working together to get it. I like it, and the music is what tells you how to feel a lot of the time.
It does.
It's like the old 16-bit RPGs. Where like a lot of the reason people remember those as being such emotional things is because the music was right there telling you what you're supposed to feel, and you didn't have to rely on voice actors or motion capture performance to convey any of it because it all happened in your head.
Yep.
Your imagination is a huge benefit.
Yeah.
It's funny that like your party is the opposite of mine. Like
I could tell by what you're saying that we have opposite parties
because you started on the opposite side of the world.
Yeah. And so I just started picking up people as I went. And
yeah, but like Throne, all I had to do was go one screen north, and I was at Oswald.
Yeah,
and,
see, Oswald was this is the last guy that I picked up,
and it's too bad because Oswald changes the game completely. Because like you described that first, the first round is data thing. Yeah. I never need to do that because I already know.
Right. Yeah.
And now I've got a party.
But that's cool. Like it just shows you how two people can play the game entirely differently.
And they are a little better now at incorporating the other characters into the different characters' further chapters.
Yeah.
Not amazing.
Each character has 4 chapters ultimately, and if it's anything, and I haven't got to the end of the game because it's gigantic. But if it's anything like the first game, you're going to need to complete all 4 chapters for every character before you can play the final chapter, which brings all the characters together.
But they're like the first game. One of the problems was like they didn't know who was going to be with you in every situation. So basically, every chapter was sort of a solo adventure that happened to have the other characters along for the ride, and they barely even spoke.
This is still kind of like that.
It's still
though.
Not perfect, but they have integrated them a little more. Like the characters will say various things or react to things and. It was generic dialogue in the first game, and this one, like, they sound more like themselves. Sometimes, like, they pick, like, and sometimes it doesn't happen. I'm sure it's like, if something happens, like a shady thing happens, Throne is going to say something about it. But if she wasn't in your party, there probably wouldn't be any dialogue there.
Yeah.
But that's better than, like, having everyone feel completely isolated, like in the first game, which is my main complaint about the first game. Yeah, so they have addressed that, I think, as best they can without having the dialogue trees be the size of a building.
Yeah.
So
as we said, you have your normal weapons, and some characters will have 2 weapons. One may have a pole and a sword, etc. Or more, yeah.
Throne has 3.
Yeah, so you can flip through those, again, trying to figure out what the weaknesses are so you can break or daze enemies. Because, again, that's the key to winning the battles. And so in addition to those normal attacks, you also have learned skills, and then your class-specific skills. Those are your crazy over-the-top attacks. You learn those as you play the game. You can also upgrade those as you play through the game. And then there's a brand new ability called Latent Power, which are basically, if you've played a lot of Square Enix RPGs, limit breaks.
Yeah.
It's really what they are.
You get hit enough and you can use it.
And then suddenly you have this power build up. And it's just another set of over-the-top awesome attacks that you can use. As we mentioned earlier, the day and night cycles actually change the game significantly, and they're used for puzzle solving. So you'll come across someone out in the world who'll be like, I need to find this person, I need to find this thing. Sometimes you need to change it from day to night in order to find the person or the thing that you need. The other thing, too, about nighttime is if you have found that new character and you're trying to level him up so he can be a viable part of the party, do it at night because the enemies are tougher and it's much easier to grind and build levels for your party if you do it at night. As I mentioned earlier, you can't really avoid random encounters, which to me is really annoying. I've really played it. You don't play too many RPGs that are like that anymore.
Yeah, I don't find them to be that bad, although I don't run.
Yeah.
When you run, you double the encounter rate.
Yeah. But otherwise, like, I've enjoyed this a lot. This game is $60. Do you feel that it's warranted? I'm burning out a little bit on it already. Are you?
I think so. I'm still liking it a lot. It doesn't require my full attention much of the time if I'm just running around the open world, and then I will like turn off my podcast or whatever when a story thing happens. There is a lot to do, and I do enjoy the break system more than I usually do in these kinds of this Square thing. Like, I am kind of over the whole, like, oh, hit him with the weak. No, now like unload. It's like, yeah, I've been doing that since Final Fantasy 13, and it wasn't particularly fun there. But this is a more interesting puzzle. It really changes it when you don't have to worry about real time.
It's true.
I think that style of combat works better turn-based.
I think my problem is that I finished the first Octopath Traveler, and by the time I finished it, I think I spent like 60-some hours on it. Mm-hmm. I got like 10 hours into this, and I started to burn out on the combat. Because let's be honest, the combat's pretty much identical.
It's not really... It's got a few more wrinkles, but it is the same thing for the most part.
And so, once you kind of understand how it works, and you learn how to break enemies and all the nuances of the combat engine, you realize that there isn't that much change, and I started to burn out on the combat kind of quickly. Because, again, I'd already spent, like, 60-plus hours on the first game.
Yeah, I think the main draw still for me is that, like, I think all the characters' stories are interesting so far. Mm-hmm. I've not gotten to the dancer yet, but, like, they all are different, and they all have a pretty good hook, and they're all kind of not what I expect them to be most of the time. Like, especially the cleric guy. I don't know if you've gotten to him.
The what guy?
Cleric. He's a
the money guy?
No, he's an inquisitor for the Temple of the Sacred Flame. You think he's like a priest. He's gonna be like, okay, but he's actually like a super self-serving, sarcastic like weirdo. Like,
really?
And like he's like, oh yeah, he's not because you like team up with this like sacred sword like royal like holy guard guy, and like you end up embroiled in this like weird like murder mystery thing, and he's like, what kind of cleric are you? And he's like, just trying to get things done. He's like he's kind of like a Benedict Cumberbatch Sherlock thing going on. He's sort of like a sociopath who happens to be a priest sort of thing, and he's very it's very funny. It's like, oh, I didn't expect. I thought he was going to be like a kind of a goody two shoes. Like, oh, let's see if we can find. Oh no, what a tragedy. It's like oh, he's dead. Means we can have something to do tonight. This is like, okay, like it's.
I haven't come across him yet.
Pretty funny.
I think I only have 2 characters left though.
Yeah, so you must. So you have Oswald.
Yep.
Do you have Throne?
Yep.
The thief. So so you're moving south basically.
Yeah.
So he's off to one side from Throne, and then the Beast Girl is at the bottom of the continent.
Those are the 2 I have left. Yeah. Yep. Okay. I don't know. Look, I guess the way I would view this game is if you didn't play the first Octopath Traveler, I would buy it, and you like JRPGs, I would buy it immediately.
Yeah, I think you should absolutely skip to this one.
Yeah.
If you haven't played
it's the better of the 2.
Absolutely.
Undoubtedly. In pretty much every way.
Yeah.
And also, you wouldn't be like me where you'd be kind of burnt out on it because it's only been 2.5 years since the last game came out. It hasn't been all that long. And I did start to burn out on it a little bit as I started to play it. I had mastered the combat system in the prior game, and there aren't that many tweaks to it here. So I would recommend it to someone who has not played the first Octopath, and then people who played the first one, if you really loved the first Octopath Traveler, then I would recommend buying this one as well. But I wouldn't be surprised if, like me, you get a certain amount into it and you're like, yeah, I kind of done this already. But to Matt's point, the story is way better. And it does a better job of keeping you hooked into the game, so that does help. What about you, Matt? How do you feel about it?
Yeah, I mean, if you loved the first one and you want more, this will give you that.
Yeah.
Beyond that, like, if you've never played it, but it's interesting to you, definitely don't just like say, oh, I got to play the first. You do not have to play the first one.
No, there's no connection to it at all.
No, I think they're in the same world.
Yeah,
but like other than that, they don't.
There's no carryover from.
I haven't noticed any significant references. I don't think you're not missing anything. It's just a story about 8 more characters in the same world.
Yeah.
And this one's better.
Yep.
So
significantly
on every level.
It is $60, which may come as a little bit of a surprise to some people, but look at that right there. That shot. I think this game really is just very pretty.
Final Fantasy VI was $90.
Yeah.
In 1992 or 1994. So
true. Yeah. AJ the Legend Watson asked, "What platform am I playing on?" I'm playing on PlayStation 5.
I'm playing on PC.
Yep, which I don't blame you one bit with your beast of a rating.
Well, it all looks the same, but that's where I played the demo, so I want to continue to say.
Yeah, and I don't think platform matters that much with this.
I don't think so.
I think it probably looks the same across pretty much all of them.
Yeah.
Because it's not really technically demanding, it's artistically impressive.
Really. Yeah, I would also say maybe play it on wherever you have the best sound system, because the music is really good.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. I thought the audio in this was good in general. Also, the voice acting is great.
Yeah, yeah.
All these lines that you're seeing, in this B-roll, they're all voiced.
Yeah, almost like
and voiced very well.
A huge amount of it's voiced. All the character chapters are voiced. A lot of the other incidental stuff is like a lot of the side missions and stuff are not usually, but like all the chapters are voiced. Like they're all done in full, and they're all solid.
Yeah,
and you can pick Japanese voices if you prefer.
Yep, you totally can.
I've been using Japanese voices more because I like to skip through I can read faster than they can talk, so I tend to just skip through it. And it's easier for me to skip through it if I don't understand what's being cut off.
You don't have that pause. AJ says, I like this for Switch for portability. Totally understandable. Like, again, it's a turn-based RPG. You can put your Switch into sleep mode, come back, pick up. You'll never know that you missed a beat. So I can understand that perspective. Pain of Demise, how is the game optimized on PC? Any issues, Matt?
I can't imagine what issues any PC made after like 2015 would have with this.
Well, the other problem too is that Matt's machine could like launch the space shuttle, so I don't think he's going to have any performance issues with any PC.
I haven't seen anything with it. I mean, I can't imagine this thing's particularly demanding.
Yeah. The Oldest Fox, thank you for subscribing with Twitch Prime, man. We appreciate it, and your little toast icons that you posted there. That's pretty awesome. Another question from Barry Lomax: can you play this without playing the first one? Yeah. We mentioned that already. There's really no tie-in with the story at all.
Yeah, you can skip the first one and go straight to this one. In fact, I would suggest doing that.
I think you'll enjoy this game more if you haven't played the first one. Because the battle system won't wear out for you like it did for me.
Yeah, because it's so similar that you might as well play the one that's a better iteration.
Yeah.
And the story is unrelated.
Yep. So you should be all good. There you go. That's Octopath Traveler 2. Our final topic for today is Kirby game. You see the lower third there, Matt? There's another Kirby game for Switch. It's Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe. It was originally released for the Wii back in 2011. I did not play it, though. I'm sure Nintendo sent me code for it, but I didn't play it.
I can't imagine I did.
Yeah. Or maybe I just gave it to our reviewer at GT or something, and they handled it. But I don't think
back in the day when just every game in the world was being trickled through the offices, it's not like you were dying to play a Kirby game.
Yeah. Well, here's one thing I will say: is that, as Matt and I say all the time, Kirby. They make so many Kirby games that, and some of them like try these crazy, whacked out ideas. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. Kirby and the Forgotten Land was the first 3D platformer set in the Kirby universe. So they're trying to expand Kirby out into these different ideas. I wouldn't say different genres, but different ideas within the genre. This is just a Kirby game. It is basic to its core, basically. Maybe the most simple Kirby game that's been released in the last decade. And maybe that makes sense since it's originally from 2011. They haven't done a ton of work to this, Matt. Like, they've added a couple features, but not a ton. The setup for the game is Kirby is trying to help a multiverse traveler who has crash-landed on his planet. You can play with up to 4 players cooperatively. You can play as Meta Knight, King Dedede, Bandana Waddle Dee, or a bunch of generic Kirbys. Like most Kirby games, copy abilities are the crux of the combat and the game in general. Some of the stuff that I've seen so far, I've seen the sword, I've seen the beam, there's a mecha copy ability, there's a sand copy ability, and both the mecha and the sand copy abilities are brand new to this sort of remake of the game. Usually in every level that you play, one thing I liked about this game is that it regularly feeds you plenty of new copy abilities, and you get to choose. Like, the level design isn't built in a way where it's designed like you have to use this copy ability to get through this part. Most of the level design allows you to use multiple copy abilities to get through the various parts of the game. Now, there's a couple exceptions, but for the most part, you can use pretty much any copy ability to get through the bulk of the game. Let's see. There's a super ability mechanic where Kirby gets a gigantic weapon and wipes out the entire screen of enemies. That's what I was talking about with, like, there's some parts of the game where you actually need to use a very specific ability, and that's it. Like, he'll get, like, a gigantic sword or a gigantic axe, and the arc of that weapon matches with the placement of the enemies. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So if you swipe it, and you lined it up perfectly, you can take out pretty much the whole screen of enemies with one swipe. It's very satisfying. And while you're doing that, parts of the level are being destroyed. This game isn't hard. And again, you can play it with 4 players cooperatively. So this is a great game for kids. You feel powerful playing this game. Because again, you get these crazy big weapons that just crush off like half of a level at once. And again, it's not very difficult. There's also assists that you can get. Like there's this little guy that you can enable that will keep you from falling into bottomless pits, and he'll give you like health potions every once in a while. It really is kind of designed for kids who are just first learning how to play games. Like a lot of Kirby games, you can always tell when a boss fight is coming because they'll just drop like a bunch of copy abilities like right there for you to grab and pick up. And again, it shows you that you can beat all the bosses in this game using multiple copy abilities as well. That's one thing I really like about this. You get a lot of latitude in how you want to approach the game. Like most Kirby games, the controls give you a ton of room for error because, you know, just his jump and his float alone, it's really hard to mess up. Like, it's funny that they give you the ability to keep from falling in bottomless pits because you really have to suck to fall in a bottomless pit in a Kirby game or forget, like, what the jump button is or something like that. So that assist feature I was talking about is called the Helper Magalore, and he's the dude that helps you from falling into pits and then gives you health. Also new to this version of the game are masks that you can just kind of staple onto the front of the characters, and they look pretty ridiculous. You can unlock those as you play through the campaign, but there's also this brand new minigame mode called Merry Magoland. Now, the original did have minigames, but they've kind of reorganized them into this new mode. And basically, it's a collection of 10 different minigames that have been reorganized from the original, and as you complete those minigames, you earn new masks that you can kind of staple onto your character. Again, something that I think kids will get a lot more play out of than adults will. Every level, there's 3 different doohickeys that you're trying to collect, and then you're rated at the end depending on how many of those that you've won. And then those give you stamps that help you unlock more masks. So kind of everything you're doing in this game is tied into getting new masks, unlocking new masks for your characters. As you can see from this B-roll, I didn't care about the masks at all, and I never even used them. It just didn't really matter to me. And then the base game is like 4 hours long. It is really short. This game is also $60, by the way. It's 4 hours long. And once you complete that, then there's like a post-game game called the Magalore Epilogue, where you play as Magalore. And there you have no copy abilities. And kind of like in Metroid, he begins without any powers at all. And then you collect these energy spheres as you play, and that sort of reassigns his abilities to him, and then you can use them. So there's kind of a building element. But I played like an hour of it, and I got bored of it really quickly. It's like, I'm here to play Kirby. I'm not here to play some other random character. It just felt tacked on and unneeded to me. It was a little more challenging, at least, because, again, this game was really easy. I just kind of walked through it for the most part. What else is there to say? Not much. I mean, one thing I like about this is that it is kind of a throwback to when the Kirby games were a lot more simple, and there's not all these weird, like, nuanced things that you need to learn. It's just very straightforward. Suck up an enemy, take their ability, unleash hell on the rest of the enemies. And again, you don't have to be really picky with what abilities you choose. I found that I could use almost any copy ability and make headway through the game with no problem. So I really enjoyed the simplicity of this Kirby game. I think it's a great game for kids. If you're looking for that next game to play with your munchkins, I think this is a great option because, again, it is 4-player co-op, and you can play along with them and let them kind of figure their way out through the game and only jump in when they really need help. So I enjoyed the simplicity, but it wasn't $60 worth of entertainment ultimately. Like, if I had paid for this game and Nintendo didn't send me a review code, I probably would have regretted it because, again, I think I played a total of 5 hours. I don't think that the extra mode is much longer than that. So I think, even if you do finish that mode that unlocks after you finish the base game, you're only going to get a couple extra hours out of it at most. So $60 is a tough ask for this game. So I would not recommend buying it unless you're really struggling to find something new to play with your kids, and then I think it's a pretty good choice. Matt, I know how much you love Kirby.
I don't $60 love him.
When was the last time you played a Kirby game? You played Kirby's in the Forgotten Land, right?
Yeah, I played that.
Yeah.
But before that,
it had been a while. It's always interesting whenever we cover a new Kirby game, and I go into the TriCaster and I see how much B-roll we have for Kirby games in the TriCaster. There's like 8 different Kirby games in there. And none of them have been all that great, except for Forgotten Land, the 3D platformer version of it. And I'll just jump forward ahead here in the B-roll so you can kind of see like the some of the other stuff. And you can also see the mini game mode as well. after each level, there's this stupid mini game that you play. Also, a dead giveaway that this is an old game that's been revived. Like, games just don't do that anymore. Like, it's like this weird spring thing that you do after every level ends. It's really bizarre.
Like that period where everything was like Nintendo's like, everything has to have Mario Party in it somehow. Because for some reason those sell.
That's a good point, actually. And here is the minigame collection I was talking about. Again, the original game did have the minigames, but they've been kind of reorganized and put into this brand new mode here that you can play anytime. And the one thing I will say, too, is like everything's integrated together. So as you complete stuff in this minigame that gives you new masks, you can then use those masks, not just in these minigames, but back in the main campaign as well. So they do a pretty good job of kind of linking all the different modes in the games together. However, your mileage will vary depending on how much you really give a crap about the masks, which I did not, because they're just cosmetic. They don't actually do anything to alter the difficulty of the game or give you powers or anything like that. It's just all for show. So there you go. Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe, available for Switch for $60, though I do not recommend paying that much for it. And as we say over and over again, waiting for a Nintendo game to drop in price is a fool's errand, because it just doesn't happen all that often, unfortunately. So,
although maybe this one,
it might.
Kirby and the Forgotten Land did get a decent Christmas sales, I recall.
Did it?
I think so.
I didn't see that, but I wasn't shopping for it either. So,
we already had it, but like.
I mean, for like my nephews or my nieces or anything, maybe I should have actually. I should have got it for them instead, but they all like Fortnite, dude. They don't like to play the games I like to play as a kid. They all just want to shoot each other in Fortnite and get their V-Bucks and all that crap. So it's a different world from when I was a kid playing video games.
It didn't exist when we were kids.
Yeah, V-Bucks, Fortnite, none of it existed.
The best we could do was betray each other and joust.
Yeah, we probably would have done the same thing, though.
How weird is it, like in that Last of Us episode where they find that arcade? And like, it's a wonderful play, all the vintage games and all this stuff. There's not a single arcade in a mall in 2003 that looked like that. No. Like, there's like a vintage Frogger game and an Astro's Deluxe and one of the rarest Tetris machines you'll ever see. And and a Mortal Kombat 2 is like obviously a big plot point. And stuff. But I'm like, congrats to whoever they rented all those from, who wouldn't let them age them up. Yeah. Because it's like, no, you don't touch my fucking machine. You can rent them, but you can't like make them look like they've been through 20 years of apocalypse. Are you crazy? But I'm like, we know that if a mall arcade from 2003, when the world ended in that show, you've got like 7 skee ball games, you've got like 3 basketball hoop shooting games, you've got
air hockey table,
ticket redemption game, 4 versions of Street Fighter 2 nobody plays,
a claw game,
game,
like 5 claw games.
Yeah, claw games weren't that popular yet back then. They are now. They got huge over the. Daytona, Time Crisis, House of the Dead, and they wouldn't have Mortal Kombat 2. They'd have an ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 machine that they can't figure out how to get rid of.
Yeah.
Like it's I love it. The scene's amazing, and it's kind of got a nice magical realist feel to it. But I'm just like, I don't know what arcade that was in 2003, but I want to go to it, like, because that's amazing.
Yeah.
Like, you don't see barcades with that much classic arcades. So and that one busted ass Ms. Pac-Man machine in the back that you're not sure if it's going to eat your quarter or not.
Time Crisis 2 without fail, Erebus Jones says.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh, those were the days, the arcade days. I'll never forget them. I'll never forget the smell of the arcades.
Oh yeah, there was that weird mix of
burning transistors,
dust, BO, and pizza.
And pizza. Yeah.
I
pretty much nailed it.
There's a
hint.
There's a slight tweak on mine because the one I used to go to was in Fashion Island in Foster City, and it was right next to an ice skating rink.
Oh,
so there was also a whiff of Freon and cold to it. So there was that tilt in Fashion Island was where we used to go.
I played a lot of arcade games at roller rinks back in the day.
Oh yeah. I will say if you want a hit of like rock solid arcade nostalgia, go to the Fox Hills Mall. What's
the famous mall
down there? Yeah. And park. Like, there's if you're going down. What's the street that you go down? Is that Sepulveda?
Yes.
So you get down there and then you turn left into, and like immediately you can turn left and then you turn left again into the parking garage and like this weird little tiny horrible place.
Yeah. I think I know what you're talking about.
Park in there. And then walk to the door. Like it's a little automatic door over in the corner from where it's like right across from where you come in, where you enter. as you walk through there, you will walk right past the exhaust vents for the food court. And it will blast you with a bunch of air, like a mix of all the horrible
every kind of food,
and it will smell like an 80s arcade.
Really?
And you will be like, "Oh, this is it!" Like that. It's a perfect mix because of the dust and the ducts and the vents and the ozone and the
AC
from the AC. Like it's the exact smell of an 80s arcade.
80s arcades were also really cold.
Oh yeah,
they're always like subarctic.
They're always cold and they're always dark.
Yeah,
and everybody's smoking.
Yeah.
It was years.
It's hard to find old cabinets that don't have the burn marks.
Oh
from
yeah,
cigarettes.
from cigarettes for sure. Like melted thing.
Yeah,
Like,
down to the paper.
And like sometimes you get the Street Fighter 2 ones that have that, and it's like, oh, somebody didn't like this. Somebody put their quarter up, so they melted the thing to drop the quarter up. Oh, it fell off, bro. I don't know what to do.
Those were the days.
And there was, of course, the gold. It was called gold, before Tilt was its fashion island. It was called Gold Mine, and it was a long, narrow, dark hallway before Tilt became the family entertainment center. Yep. And it was two parts. It was two rooms because like one room was like where in a normal store would be where the store was, and then the second part was like where the back room would have been.
Yeah.
But they just opened it all up to have arcade games everywhere. And there was a guy who would sit on a stool in the little archway as you walked through into the other room, and I was like 6, and I would just see people going up and saying, "Hey man," like shaking his hand. I just thought he was really friendly. It wasn't until like high school I'm like, oh, he was dealing drugs. Like he was the drug dealer for the arcade. That's why everyone shook his hand all the time. He wasn't just really friendly.
The 2-finger pass.
Yeah.
That's great.
So that was the arcade.
Those were the days, people.
Yeah. Arcades were different in 1982. I'm just telling you.
They were. Yep.
There's a reason in Tron that like Flynn's Arcade is like an adult bar lounge place.
It's true.
They were not for kids at the time necessarily.
Yep. Okay, well, that's going to do it for GameFace 332, except we still have... That's right. It's time for Name That Game, where I show you a series of 5 screenshots, and you try to guess the name of the game before this guy. Couple things before we get going. If you've won already this year, do not play. Do not guess. Do not ruin... Yep, there it is. Body Harvest from Emperor Dread. Mm-hmm. Do not guess. Just sit back and chill. Also, another thing I should probably mention is that if all our codes are for PC. So if you win a game. But all the codes are for PC. So if you have no interest in a code for a PC game, also don't play. I understand that does kind of suck. But look, I'll put it to you this way. We'll give you the code. If you can't use a PC code, but you want to give it to somebody, that's totally fine. But if you are sitting there and you're like, if they give me a PC code, I'm not going to do anything with it. I'm just going to tell them to keep it. Then maybe don't play. And then a final thing is, don't just go all willy-nilly guessing the name of a game and just like, oh, I'm going to spam every game name I know and maybe I'll get one right. You can only guess once every 60 seconds because we put the chat on slow mode. So make your guesses count. And with that, I think we're ready to get started with Name That Game. Here is the first image.
It does look familiar.
Then I've done my job well. Leisure Suit Larry, no. Fahrenheit, no. Mass Effect 2, no. Ashes in the Hourglass got it already.
Aliens?
Alien Isolation. You guys are just too good. That's insane, Matt. This is 2 weeks in a row that somebody got it, not just on the first image, but in the first like 5 seconds. I wonder.
Are those like those are the lights like down like the vent hallway kind of thing? Yeah.
Yeah.
I knew them. I just couldn't place it.
Wow, I'm terrible at this now. I can't get past the first image anymore. Here's the second image. Here's the third image.
That almost looks like the Death Star.
It's one of the doors. Yeah. Here's the fourth image.
Yeah,
That one probably would have given it away for some people. Or hell, all of them do, because they got it in the first one.
The first one did.
Yeah. And here's the last one, where I show a little bit of his tail and his claw there in the shot. And that would have definitely given it away. You people are just too good. Maybe we should stop doing this. It's like, I don't know. I don't know what I have to do anymore. Like, to make you guys not get it on the first one. You're just too good. Anyway, Ashes in the Hourglass, your round of applause for your victory. It's insane how good you guys are. It really is, Matt. Like, I guarantee you, if, like, my wife or my mom watched this, they would literally break their brain. That somebody could look at what I put up there and guess one video game out of millions that have been released. It's amazing.
Well, it's also like there's people, maybe you're one of them, like you could show them like part of a play of a football game and they know what game it was, who was playing.
Maybe.
And like my dad used to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Like you could mention like one particular at bat and he'd know it was this guy, these guys versus these guys. He was pitching, he was batting. It was this game in the middle of this. Like they're just people that know that stuff.
It's incredible. You guys are amazing. I mean, I don't know why I'm surprised. You guys are the hardest of the hardcore gamers. You guys, if anyone's going to be able to do this, it's you guys. And you guys knock it out of the park pretty much every single episode of GameFace. So, again, Ashes in the Hourglass, congratulations. It's amazing what you just did. Johnny Hurricane says some brains are built differently. Our brains are, literally. Like, it's funny how we're able to pick out just these little things that connects the dots for us. But anyway, Ashes in the Hourglass, send me a DM. You can send it here on Twitch. You can send it to me on Twitter at Dinfire. Although, Matt, I'm leaving Twitter soon. So Blue Sky just launched. Did you see it?
No.
Yep, it launched yesterday. It's on the App Store. You have to have an invite to get on it, though.
That's from the people who made Twitter?
Yep. So the people who left Twitter started their new Twitter. It's called Blue Sky, and it is in the App Store now. You can download it right now. However, you have to get an invite from somebody. I don't know how I'm going to get an invite. I have the app. I'm ready to go. As soon as I'm in there, I am out of Twitter. Sifted Games will probably stay on Twitter for at least a little while until more people go over to Blue Sky. I am not. As soon as I can get out of Twitter, I'm out. Have no interest in supporting Elon Musk whatsoever. So as soon as I can get out of there, I'm out of there. So any day now, Blue Sky, as soon as I get the app, I am off of Twitter. But anyway, something for you guys to investigate if you might be interested in a new social media network. Again, made by the guy who built Twitter, but to make it better and to make it the way he wished he had built Twitter in the first place. So it should be pretty good. Let's see. We got some questions rolling in already. Let's do some Q&A. We got some time. Got at least 10 minutes. Let's see what you guys are saying. Let's see. Betrays. Thank you for the bits, man. That's awesome. Hope you're doing good. Mellow Pintor. Thank you for gifting subs. That's also awesome. Lots of questions in here already. Pot F2. Never seen Shane sound so defeated. I'm not defeated. I'm proud of you guys. It's amazing what you guys do. I'm not defeated at all. I mean, it does kind of suck a little bit because I do like a lot of work on it. Mm-hmm. I mean, I spend probably, 30, 40 minutes doing Name That Game pre-production, and then you guys whoop its ass in like 2 seconds. But it doesn't bother me. I'm just impressed by you guys. Emperor Dread. Matt, did you see the Matt McMuscles video on Body Harvest?
I did.
What is that?
He's a guy. He's a YouTuber.
Oh, okay.
He does the What Happened series, where he goes over troubled projects and sort of talks about what happened and how it turned out. And he did one on Body Harvest a couple weeks ago, and it was very interesting. It really just sounds like working with Nintendo in the '90s was a nightmare. It just goes over like what Nintendo wanted and what DMA was trying to make, and then
it's like a retrospective on Body Harvest.
Yeah, it's like it's basically development hell stories, and it's just like why did this game or this movie or this TV show turn out so weird, and generally it's like that. So he did one on Body Harvest. It's very interesting. Like, he does good research and does interview people who were there whenever he can, and like he gets anonymous sources that talk about what it was like. There's a couple people talking about what it was like to develop Body Harvest on Nintendo. Didn't know what they wanted, but sure knew what they didn't want. And there was a lot of changes.
It's the world's first open world game, really 3D open world game.
I mean, it's the template for GTA 3.
Yeah, and Nintendo was trying to screw it up.
I got in trouble for saying that in the State of Emergency review.
Really?
Because I said I basically said that. DMA design is what made GTA what it was, because they made GTA 1 and 2, and then they made 3, and it was very clear that Body Harvest was sort of a dry run for the 3D open world thing they were doing with GTA 3. And so no one should be... But they were pushing State of Emergency as though it was from the makers of GTA.
Right.
And it wasn't. It was just a big brawler.
It's just a Rockstar game.
Yeah. And I said, it's pretty good evidence that, the magic of GTA 3 came from DMA design and not Rockstar.
Yeah.
Because that's not what's happening. And Rockstar got real mad about that. And
remember what I sent you a text about last week? So actually, I'll share a little bit about that.
And very shortly afterwards, DMA Design became Rockstar North.
It did.
Just saying.
So here's something interesting.
I'm not saying that was me.
Here's something interesting. So I was tasked with putting together the playlist for my best friend's memorial. And he and I have been talking with each other about music for literally like 35, 40 years. So I know exactly what music he likes. So anyway, I was tasked with putting together the playlist, and the guy who was doing the memorial was like, you need to bring it on like an iPod. And I was like, okay. He's like, it needs to have like an 1/8" jack out or whatever. And I was like, what? So anyway, I'm like, all right. I mean, this is Central Pennsylvania, Matt. So I've dug up this old iPod that I had, and I plugged it into iTunes, and miraculously it still works.
I found my old iPod 3 a few weeks ago.
It was like the last iPod.
I can't believe we used to use it. Was like
not the Nano, like the last real one with the screen. It looks like an iPhone, but it's not.
Yeah, I have one of those.
So anyway, I'm looking on this, and I find these voice memos on it. And I'm like, what the hell could these voice memos be? And I started listening to them, and some of them were like songs that I had written that I would hum like the melody into it so I wouldn't forget the song or whatever. But I came across this other one that was like 12 minutes long, and lo and behold, it was a conversation that I had with Rockstar Games after our review of Max Payne 3 was published at Game Trailers. So I don't know. Should I have even said that, Matt?
I don't know.
I don't either. And it was amazing on so many different levels. And I'll tell you why I recorded it. I knew I couldn't release it publicly because I think it's against the law in some states or whatever. I just wanted to cover my butt because I was afraid I was going to get fired. I thought Rockstar was going to call, and they had already called and threatened to pull marketing dollars from Game Trailers over our review of Max Payne 3. And so I didn't record it to like release it later or let you guys hear the call. I recorded the call in case I was going to get fired. I was going to play the call for HR. And I had completely forgotten that I had ever recorded, and I listened to that call, and it is amazing. I wish I could share it with you, but I can't. But anyway, yeah. I just randomly texted Matt. I'm like, oh my God, I just found this phone call that I recorded with Rockstar back in the day, and it is one hell of a phone. I wish you could hear it because I kill it. I literally effing kill it. Like, he, by the end, was like, you're right, and I'm wrong. And they still pulled
But we're still going
to pull the marketing dollars. Yeah, and they did. They did pull the marketing dollars. Justin Horman. Yuji Naka just pleaded guilty to his insider trading charges. Will we ever see his name attached to a game again? No.
Probably not. And honestly, even if he hadn't gotten picked up for insider trading charges, Balan Wonderworld should have made that never happen again anyway.
Yeah, regardless of that, I don't think we've ever seen another game from him either. Anyway,
no.
Like, I just don't think it would have happened.
Like, how many times can you strike out?
Yeah, basically. That's what you're asking. He has struck out a lot. Mm-hmm. A lot. El Guapo 3385, where does Mikami's departure leave Tango? And where do you think is a good fit for him next? I think a good fit for him is to start his own studio again, start another one, because so he starts Tango, and then Bethesda buys it, and obviously he cashes in. He's rich. He's been rich forever.
There were rumors that he was talking to Platinum about something.
That would be a good landing spot, but I think more likely he just starts his own studio again. It makes the most sense to me, anyway.
Sort of. I mean, that's also a lot of work.
But that's how you get rich.
He's already
just
rich.
Working for somebody. That's how you make big money, though. Working for somebody else in Japan, he's going to make $200,000 a year or whatever.
He's got to be.
He makes a studio. Already. He sells it for 10 or 20 million. That's how you really make money in game development. So I would place my money on him starting another studio, but I do think Platinum's a good landing spot. I would agree with that.
His net worth is not what I thought it would be.
Yeah. Japanese developers, man, they don't make the money that you think they make.
Yeah, but he's selling Tango.
They're not like Cliff Bleszinski, dude.
Selling Tango, I thought he would have made a little more than that.
Yeah. Mellow Pintor, thank you for the subs. Swanland, did you ever get around to Terrifier 2? I still haven't. I did mention earlier that I watched the new Halloween movie on the flight, and that was a huge mistake. OCD Master 1, if Suicide Squad is not a hit, do you think that's the end of Rocksteady? Great question.
God, at this point, who knows what happens in Warner Brothers? Like, Zaslav is canceling weird things, and I mean, nothing is safe at this point. Yeah, I would say. Yeah, that's even if Suicide Squad is a hit, you don't know.
Yeah, you
what
really
they're going to do with
it. Not
them
anymore. I would say it would be in danger for sure.
Yeah,
and I do think part of it is that, like,
I would guess that they would have
some talent.
I would guess that they would probably be told, like, okay, you got
one more shot.
You got 3 years to put something that sells out, and if not,
and that would be fair.
Yeah,
that would be fair. I wouldn't complain about that if I were Rocksteady.
I mean, at the end of this, I can't imagine the direct, assuming it doesn't review or sell very well, because I'm like, man, I don't see a lot of. I mean, obviously, the enthusiast community on Twitter is not necessarily indicative of the mainstream audience, but like, I don't know. I don't see this thing being the hit that the other Rocksteady games have been, and like in the end, like I cannot imagine the Warner Brothers brass not going to them and be like, make us an actual Batman game again that's going to sell and stop it.
Yeah,
you know, like make us
stop messing around.
Or if James Gunn is saying, James Gunn's saying they're all going to be unified across all media. With a DC Universe thing, or maybe he goes to them and because he knows video games, he could be like, all right, you're going to do a game for Brave and the Bold, that the movie he's doing with a like kind of dad Batman with the Bat family. He's like, let's do it upright, and like that could be something. Yeah. Like there's certainly who I'd go to for that, but like I feel like they're not in a position to dictate terms anymore. I don't think after this.
Yep. Barry Lomax, were you able to order your DJ controller yet? No, they're still not restocked on Amazon. I have literally like $2,000 of gift card credit waiting on Amazon for it to just be restocked. I sent an email to Pioneer. I'm like, I asked people in my family for 2 years for Amazon gift cards to buy this thing. Can you please restock it? And they're like, they've sent me some form email, blah, 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 corporate nonsense. So, right. And I just have to check it because there's no alerts for the item. I have to check it like once every 3 days. It sucks, but I'm not going to give up. I've come too far to turn back now.
I looked up after we talked about the other last week or the week before or whatever. I looked up that connector for Rock Band for the Xbox One.
Oh yeah.
Guess how much that is now?
$350.
$500.
Oh my gosh! I may have like 2 of them.
If you have one, you should go sell it on eBay for a few $100.
I'll absolutely sell it.
I have one somewhere. I don't know. I'd have to dig it up. But I was looking for. I will say this. You talk about sometimes about how like the plastic instruments are not cheap anymore.
Really?
Like a working Rock Band guitar you say at least $80-$100.
Really?
And like the nicer ones, like stuff in package, hundreds.
Wow.
A full set, like the full. You remember they sell the full set? A full sealed set of that, $800-$900.
Wow. Okay.
Like those are worth some stuff if you got them in good condition. And I'm sure part of that is because you can't tell if they work.
Right.
Like you pay whatever for these stupid guitars. They show up and the up click doesn't work. Then, like that would be terrible.
That would suck. Derek D111, thank you for Twitch Prime.
That's all the shipping is like one of those guitars is like $30-$40 because they're so awkward. I feel like the plastic instrument thing, you're gonna have to you're better off looking in person, I think.
Yeah. Interesting.
Looking locally.
Kevin Roffel, will you borrow Matt's PlayStation VR2? I will, eventually. Yeah. And then I'll talk about it for like 5 minutes. We've already covered it pretty in-depth here. I'll just give my very quick impression.
Unless you horribly disagree.
Well, unless it makes me so nauseous.
Unless you just make you so sick you can't play anything, yeah. I don't know. All I will say is I will caution you on Gran Turismo. Yeah. That was the one thing that
might throw me for a loop.
You might want to play that last.
Okay. Mike's Q, did either of you ever play RE4 on the Wii with the motion controls? I think it's my favorite way to play the game. I did, and I thought it was great. I agree with you. It almost made it too easy, I thought.
It worked, but I don't like motion controls.
I liked it, but I thought it made the game maybe a little bit too easy.
It was very easy. It's much more reliable to headshot things and kneecap things.
Be way more. I was way more accurate, more quick with the motion controls. Erebus Jones. The FTC judge today dismissed most of Sony's protests at handing over documents for discovery, and they now have to provide all exclusivity contracts back to the start of 2019 when this becomes public. Which third-party deal do you think is going to have cost them the most?
That's a good question.
I don't know.
I really don't know. I would imagine Call of Duty in terms of like
you would think
being lead skew kind of thing. I don't know. I really don't.
This just gets more crazy by the day. It's like I never dreamed this would drag on.
That is a backfire and a half, right? They didn't want to have to make that public.
Oh, no way. No way.
Hope it's worth it, guys. Because you're going to lose. In the end, like, there's no way that gets blocked. And now Microsoft's going around being like, we don't really care if the Activision thing happens or not now. Like, we're good. And it's just like, what is going on?
Yeah. Shane, is that dog meat on your shirt? It absolutely is. I would flip to my one cam, but we have it set up to show off PlayStation VR too. But yep. One more question. And here's one from Vincent. Which Olympic esport are you going to compete in? None. But which one would we compete in? Chess, Just Dance, GT7, or Konami Baseball? It was weird what they chose for that.
Yeah.
I was like, what? Why would you choose these games?
Why wouldn't you pick something that is actually an esport?
Yeah, I don't understand what they're thinking there. But for me, Just Dance, it's not even like a game that you play. It's like loosey-goosey, like just waggle around. Like, that's insane.
Very
weird.
It's
definitely GT7. It's without a doubt. Like, it's the only real
If I got to
game.
pick one of them, I guess I'd pick GT7.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be any good at it.
Yep. All right, that's it for GameFace 332. Before we go, do not forget, go to creamls.com, use the store locator, go buy yourself some LS Cream, spike your coffee in the morning, it'll get your day off to a great start. That's what I do. Actually, I don't even drink coffee, but it is a great liquor that goes well with a lot of things.
That's a lie.
And so go to creamls.com. There's a store locator there. There's the backstory behind LS Cream. It's made by a sifter. It's made by a gamer. Support us, our collective of people. Don't forget, we'll be back on Tuesday. So just 4 or 5 days to wait for the next episode of GameFace. And I think we're going to have enough games to do a real show. It may end a little early. We'll see. But I want to make sure we get back onto the Tuesday schedule because that seems to work the best with game releases and all that other kind of stuff. So thanks again, everybody, for tuning in on this very special episode on Thursday. I really appreciate you guys making it in for the stream today. We'll see you guys on Tuesday. GameFace is up and out.